And out in the middle of the ground can be expected to be a bit warmer than that. And we'll just have a few difficulties kicking to the Coventry end, which will be the right screen. There'll be a bit of sun in the face of the players for the opening, probably 3/4 or so. Former champion Kangaroo player Wayne Schwass, welcome to the broadcast. Schwass, looking forward to this. It's going to be a really good game.
Yeah, it shapes as an important match, but as a player, or former player I should say, I would love to see the roof close. It's a hot day out there this afternoon.
Can't see the benefit of leaving it open, to be honest. It's from certainly the spectators at the Coventry end of the ground. They're going to spend the whole day with their footy record up in front of their face, shielding the sun from their eyes. But we'll head down boundary side now and welcome Glenn Manton to the broadcast. Glenn, just tell us a little bit about the temperature and the conditions at ground level.
Conditions aren't favourable down here for players or spectators alike. The sun is belting down, particularly towards the Coventry end. The wind is swirling, and it will greatly emphasise the need to deliver the ball carefully and cohesively into the forward line at the Coventry end.
Aside from the logic which states, look, it's a beautiful day, why wouldn't you have the roof open? Gary, there really is no point at all having the roof open.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago, Jace, actually, when I was coaching Adelaide, we played against the Saints, and really it was a shocking day in relation to the sun. And the players were shielding their eyes. And I actually said to Mark Bickley at the time, if you win the toss, kick to the end that's got the most shade, because we thought that might be some sort of advantage. Which
is exactly what the Kangaroos have done. They've won the toss, and they're going to the left of screen, the Lockett end in the opening term. And there we see fans already before the game even starts. I hope they've put the 30+ on today, because it is very warm, as I mentioned, 30 degrees. And look, as we say, down in the middle of the ground, it's usually a couple of degrees higher than that. There's the Saints in their huddle. Big game for them this afternoon, as I mentioned. They got beaten up by the Brisbane Lions in round 1. Fremantle imploded to hand them the game on the platter last week. They want to come out today with an emphatic performance and really kickstart their season.
Very interested actually too, Jace, with the way the Kangaroos are playing. I think Dean Laidley's coaching very well at the moment. The players are carrying out his instructions to the letter, and also too, they're wearing sides down.
Daniel Wells, we saw on screen moments ago, had the hair done, straightened out, but last week 7 possessions in the opening term, finished with 10 for the game. Luke Ablett did a great job shutting him down. He's obviously going to get a lot more attention this year. And it's going to be a challenge for him.
And he's going to have to deal with that, but also too, he needs help from his coaching staff, and also too from other players out in the ground, whether it's ability to actually give him some sort of coverage at a stoppage where he's so dangerous if he gets some space and time.
Two sides just making their way to their positions. Have a look at some matchups. Raph Clark's going to start on the wing for the Saints. Gehrig the full forward, no surprise there. Lee Brown picking him up. Makepeace goes to Stephen Milne. In the middle of the ground, it looks like Nathan Thompson's going to start in the ruck for the Roos up against Kane Ackland. Ferrito, Harris and Simpson also in the centre for the Kangaroos, while Del Santo and Hayes in there alongside Luke Ball, the acting captain for St Kilda. Great record the Saints here at the Telstra Dome, won their last 16 straight by an average of 52 points. That is quite extraordinary. Will it continue this afternoon? We are underway, round 3 at the Telstra Dome. St Kilda and the Kangaroos right around Australia on Fox Footy. Ackland against Thompson. Simpson, Harris, Wells, now Sinclair to Makepeace. Around the city side looking for Petrie. He's got Maguire standing him, and Maguire does enough to get it to the line for a throw in.
One interesting matchup at the moment, Jace, is you've got Michael Stevens on Harvey, which I'm not sure whether Laidley thought he was going to start forward.
There's the Kangaroo bench. Hale, Piccioni, Jones and Grimmer. Blake Grimmer, the youngster from East Burwood, playing game number 3 this afternoon. Simpson, the third man up. Harris, now Wells. Gives it off to Grant. He's been the key man for the Kangaroos in the opening 2 weeks. Now a chance for the Roos. Simpson over the top. Sainsbury runs into trouble. Fantastic tackle from Max Hudson. Stopped him dead in his tracks. Maguire. Defensive 50. They called advantage, held on to it. And now the umpire will bring it back. Free kick to Max Hudson.
Probably a predictable matchup too, as Baker on Harvey.
And here is Baker. Goes to Clark. Raph Clark just forward of the centre. Inside 50. Gehrig went to ground. Might work to his advantage. Spilt to the back of the contest. Colbert links up with Brown. Thompson comes in and lays some body on body. Just looks to have hurt that right shoulder, maybe an AC joint. Come up a little bit sore. There's going to be a free kick. It's going the way of the Kangaroos and Nathan Thompson.
A bit worse for wear. That's a handy bump from a young man. early stages of his career. Raf Clark.
He's a good size for a winger.
Brent Harvey across the face of goal. Wells, terrific start to the game last week against the Swans. Daniel Wells, 7 first quarter possessions, but then held to 3 after that. Big game for him if the Kangaroos are to get over the Saints. Makepeace to Sinclair. Normally a good user. Has a loose man inside the centre square, and that's Shannon Grant.
Looks like an interesting matchup if they've gone with Schwartz on Grant. You might just think he can do him from a mobility and agility point of view.
Pushed up all their players outside forward 50, the Kangaroos. Simpson goes wide. Hale, 60 from home, short to the pocket. Brent Harvey, good lead. Got away from Barry Brooks. It's Kane Ackland. Apologies. We'll have first shot on goal. Tight angle, 45 metres.
And you'd have to say, Wayne, that was basically brought about by the hard running of Harvey. You mentioned him in your call about being in St Kilda's forward pocket, and now he's receiving the ball in the Kangaroos' forward pocket.
Best against the Saints, 38 possessions, 2 goals, coming in round 7, 2000. Got himself into a bit of form last week. 23 disposals. In the shadows of the Telstra Dome Stadium, Brent Harvey for the first score of the afternoon. Comes back, it's the timber for a behind.
Aussie Jones with the kicking in duties. Goes straight up the middle, spotted a target. It was Luke Ball. Wants to play on quickly. Gives it off to Hayes. Has a bounce. Gehrig's led already. Has to ignore that option. Goes further afield to Hudgston. Hudgston, a kick beautifully smothered from Archer. Great pressure from Glenn Archer. Hudgston goes again. It's a good one-on-one contest. Hayes arrives for support. Simpson in there as well. Some tough nuts around the football at the moment. Free kick in the back. And it's going the way of Daniel Harris. Good contest, good scrap. Harris's kick, an awkward one. Thompson tests out that right shoulder and takes it low down. Just backward of the wing. Starting in the ruck this afternoon, Nathan Thompson. Drew Petrie at centre-half forward with Maguire manning him up. Here's Brown working up the wing to take the mark.
I like this play, Jason, that Lee Brown can run Gehrig up the ground as much as he can, because we know that he's actually had a very limited preparation.
We're already seeing a lot of players flooding down the Kangaroos' end of the ground. Good effort from Gehrig. Some good 1%ers early in this game. Brown inside 50, and we see numbers back for the Saints. Only one St Kilda player forward of the centre.
It's a wasted kick.
For that foray, and Ackland picked it off pretty easily. High ball towards the centre of the ground. Archer against Clark. Clark got his hand to it, couldn't bring it down. Ferrito at ground level. Links up with Colbert. Chip across the body. Del Santo puts some pressure on Stevens. Almost beat him in the one-on-one. Makepeace came in to lend some support. But again, look at the numbers back for the Saints. It's a free kick in that scrap, and it's coming back to Nick Del Santo.
Mill got away from Colbert. Stood up in the mark, wanted to play on.
His direct opponent is Troy Makepeace at the moment, Wayne.
Plenty of numbers back now. Hamill wanted it wide. Well, he's undecided. Called to play on now, Stephen Milne. Will go to the pocket. There's a loose player down there. Dropped the mark. Voss wins himself a free kick for a push in the back. And Brett Voss, much to the displeasure of Lee Brown, will have a shot at goal.
It's actually great work by the St Kilda players there to run into that hole there, and of course it was Brett Voss, but Milne just held onto the ball just long enough and then spotted Voss up. The other interesting move, I think, at the moment is Pratt's playing on Hamill. It may be an interesting move for Grant Thomas to actually put Hamill deeper in the goal square and have him one out with Pratt because of his size and his speed.
Tight angle. This for the Saints first. Brett Voss, good looking kick off the boot, but fades late. First score for the afternoon. All tied up here at Telstra Dome.
Makepeace with the kicking in duties.
The move of Baker onto Grant, I think that's a good move, especially if Grant spends time forward, as we know he will, and that releases Jones to perhaps go with a Harvey.
Long to the City side. Simpson over the top of the pack. Milne at ground level. Slapped it out. Good pressure. Ball ends with Del Santo. Chips inside 50, or laterally across the 50 more so, and finds Voss. 55 out. Again, lots of numbers back inside that forward 50, as you can see on screen. Not a lot of space, and the Kangaroos filling the holes pretty effectively. Gehrig's in the pocket. Leads once and twice, but Lee Brown's got him covered. Harvey now leads short. Voss in the end decides he'll just bomb it long to the top of the square or beyond. High kick, bending back, but started out to the right. And Brett Voss gets his second behind in as many minutes. So Makepeace will do it all again. The long kick to the City side, ineffective on the last occasion. So this time he'll decide to go short. Colbert. High ball is a little ugly for Simpson. Chance for the Saints. But coming through was Sinclair. High ball towards the wing. One-on-one contest. Schwartz is down there up against Wells. It bounced nicely for Schwartz at the back. Squares it up. Chance for Clark, but coming the other way was Harris. Good tackle from Raphael Clark. Archer goes again. Free kick. It's going the way of Glenn Archer. Got one across the shoulder. Wants to look inside quickly. Man deep in the goal square.
Sainsbury, I think.
But he goes shorter than that. He finds Thompson up the middle. And kick from 55 out.
It certainly looks like one of the matchups also too, Wayne, is Archer on Raf Clark on the wing, because that gives Archer the opportunity to actually push back into St Kilda's forward line and just congest and clog it up a bit and be that player who causes that lead to be cut off.
So Nathan Thompson has kicked one goal straight this season. 55. Has it got the carry to get right to the line? Maguire's got a hand on it. Umpires confer. Boundary umpire involved as well. Looks like a minor score.
It's a goal, I think.
It's home. It is. So the three umpires involved in making the decision. Maguire definitely got his hands on the football. The consensus was it was over the line for a goal. Let's take another look. There's Maguire, centre screen. Touch and go from that angle. Goal umpire in pretty good position. Shannon Grant adamant, as you'd expect. But it is a goal. The Roos 1-1. St Kilda 2 behind. So we've played 9 minutes opening term at the Telstra Dome.
Dean Laidley will be actually pleased with Nathan Thompson's start. He's already had 3 possessions. So for him to get some confidence early in the game, I think it's a good move to have him in the ruck early.
So the goal umpire got shunted out of the way by that contest, was slightly out of position, which is why he did the right thing. Checked with the field umpire and the boundary umpire and came up with the right call.
Well done, all concerned. Nathan Thompson with his first for the afternoon. Back in the middle. Ackland went early. Harris out of the air, only as far as Harvey. Has some time now, Robert Harvey. Comes back through the corridor towards Hamill. Good kick. Moves it on quickly to Ackland. They go deep inside forward 50 towards Gehrig. Brown did well. Got a hand in there. Terrific play. Looked out of position. Fraser Gehrig applauds the kick, but Lee Brown up to the task, Gary.
He was, but you'd also like to see Fraser just go at the ball rather than waiting for the ball to come to him. I think that was one mistake that Fraser made then.
Throw in between forward pocket and half forward flank for the Saints. Pratt goes back to Makepeace. Got the kick away in the direction of Grant. Warned closely by Baker. Stephen Baker wins himself the free kick. Big job on Shannon Grant, Stephen Baker. Clark, that man you've spoken about, Gary. Happy to push up the ground, Raf Clark.
And try and go through him as much as possible, the St Kilda Footy Club, to just bring Archer in to actually man him up more so.
Well, the kick lets him down. It's a vacant forward line. Sainsbury lets it go for Brent Harvey. Runs onto it, Harvey. Into some space. Maguire chases. All to no avail. The Kangaroos have their second. Well orchestrated, but a disappointing result further up the ground.
It was all brought about by the turnover. And again, I think Grant should get a message out to young Raf Clark. OK, you've made the mistake, now let's not make 2. But certainly when the ball was turned over, the Kangaroos forwards who'd worked into the midfield area all had their defenders turning around. The kick was well weighted, and Harvey's run on the end of it and kicked a good goal.
Clark now swapping to the other wing. So Glenn Archer pushes back. Fiora's come to the dock side of the ground. Clark's gone to the far wing. So Grant Thomas just making a couple of changes. And he's gone across to Michael Stevens.
A little bit of toing and throwing in the middle too there, Jace. You had Frito, who was with Harvey. Now he's gone to Hayes. Harvey's on ball.
Thompson, big fist out of the ruck. Hayes in the best position. Grant wrapped him up. Not before he dished off a handball to Jones. Jones will go out looking towards Voss, Sinclair and Colbert to beat. boundary line wins, throw in.
Brett Voss is obviously starting in the foreline because he's that taller, plays tall. Quite a good strong mark in the absence of Rewalt and Kajitsky, Gary.
And he's also got a good defensive bent to his game as well. So someone like Sinclair, if he's going to get the ball, he knows he's going to be under extreme pressure to dispose of it.
Brooks is number 24 for the Saints. Colbert there claiming a free kick in the ruck contest. It's going to go the way of St Kilda for holding. Plenty of activity off the ball around those stoppages, as you can see from our camera shot there. A lot of pushing and shoving and players trying to jostle for position. The umpire spotted an indiscretion against Luke Ball. Indicates he wants to go short to the pocket. Heads in that direction now. Here comes Ackland on the lead. He's jostled out of position. Umpire said illegally in the back. Said the nudge was with the shoulder square in the back. Shannon Watt saying, I didn't use the hands. And there's the umpire. You can see him motioning, saying that you dropped your shoulder into his back. Just there. What do you think, Gary?
Well, I suppose my bet is I'm a defender, so I don't think there's a hell of a lot in that. But it just seems to be the umpires now are so pedantic in relation to any player that's got his eyes fixed on the ball. There's no real ability to use your body anymore in marking contests, I find. A guy like Jason Dunstall, he wouldn't have kicked half the goals he did if he hadn't been able to do things like that from a forward's point of view. But, hey, the umpire saw it, he's called it.
Ackland, 3 goals, 5 in his 14-game career, and that's pretty good. Good start for Kane Ackland. Saints on the board. Takes advantage of the opportunity that was presented to him. St Kilda move to 1-2-8. The Roos 2-1-13. We've played 13.5 minutes in the opening term.
The good thing that Kane Ackland's done then too is he's actually made the Kangaroos pay. And again, I don't think there was a lot in this particular infringement. The other interesting thing you see is that Colbert's actually behind the pack there, and he's very good at swapping with Archer as to who can get back and fill that hole. So those two are working well. But full credit to Ackland. It's a real good field story for him to come across from the Port Adelaide Footy Club.
A couple of handy players in the St Kilda coach's box. Kazitsky with his injured skipper, Nick Rewalt. Brooks up against Hale. Lenny Hayes hard at the contest, did well, one possession, handball let him down though. Harvey to Harris. Heavy traffic though. Brooks mops up through the corridor out in the direction of Brett Voss. Tumbling mark. Saints have responded through Ackland after the Kangaroos got 2 early goals. Kick towards Garrick. Brown again did well, got a hand in there to spoil. Neal, Makepeace applies the tackle. Sinclair, well, had his hands on the ball, dropped it, keeps it alive. Hayes, can he evade the tackle of Simpson? No. Brett Voss kick smothered by Hale. Not the prettiest passage of football. Good umpiring. Wells comes away with the ball. Goes long, inside 50, but Penny chops in and takes an easy mark, and the Saints are away.
Del Santo gathers it in on centre wing. Confronted by Michael Stevens. He's got a couple of options down the line and uses Harvey from 60 to the pocket and Hamill. Tough angle, 35 metres out, 5 metres in from the boundary as Fiora comes off to be replaced by Goddard.
Isn't it amazing when we sit here and watch the turnover effect? 1 minute it's actually going into the Kangaroos forward 50, and then with the ability of the players to actually pinpoint targets, it ends up in St Kilda's forward line. You've got Hamill now having a shot for goal.
That's the thing about the flooding nature of the game, isn't it? If you've got players running from one end to the other, you're badly out of position when the turnover comes. The kick from Harrell to go. Beautifully bent it inside the right post. Kept it low, steered it through, and the Saints hit the front. They're 2-2-13. 2-2-14 rather. The Kangaroos 2-1-13. Saints by a point as we approach the 16-minute mark of the opening term.
The thing that I liked about that kick from Del Santo there, Wayne, was that he actually went to the longer option, which was Harvey. He could have went short to Fiora. He's actually gone to the longer one. Harvey's turned around and spotted Hamill up, and he's kicked a pretty good goal from a difficult angle.
And a better option you'd expect kicking for goal as well, Aaron Hamill rather than Robert Harvey.
Back in the middle. 1 point ball game. Favour of St Kilda. Troy Swartz pushes himself towards his half-forward flank. Numbers around the ball. Luke ball to Del Santo. Handball, no one in particular. Harris overran it. Hayes, clean handball, got it to Schwartz. Met heavily in the tackle. Kangaroos player flung. Corey Jones wins himself the free kick.
One interesting move, Wayne, at the centre bounces is that when St Kilda rotate a player out, they actually go to the defensive side of the square, whether it's Harvey or whether it's Hayes, and it just puts another player in the Kangaroos forward half.
Penny, too much on the kick from Corey Jones, intended for Sav Rocker. The Saints are away here. They've got a loose man outer side of the ground. Goddard on for his first run this afternoon. Replaced Fiora. Short to Brett Voss. Plenty of changes from both sides. Baker being replaced by Peckett. Good lead, Swartz. He's working all over the ground. Gary presenting.
And he's quite a good mover, and you know he kicks the ball a long way. But that was great work from Goddard, because Goddard's actually started that play and now he's receiving it inside 50.
Keen to move it on towards the third umpire, but sitting there behind him, got a good shepherd, was Lance Piccioni. Off to Makepeace. The only target further up the ground is Nathan Thompson. The kick will have to be good. Decides to go long. Sainsbury with Aussie Jones. Terrific one-handed mark. Held out Sainsbury, took the mark and frees up Hudson. The Saints have got numbers outer side of the ground.
They switch play. Hudson to Peckett. Peckett towards the 50. Hamill out on a hard lead. Takes it in front of Pratt. Hamill was the instigator there. Umpire not falling for that one.
You just think someone like Aaron Hamill would have it over Pratt at this stage with his experience and his aggression.
Goes to the pocket. The G-Train's got away. Snuck away from Lee Brown on that occasion. Lee Brown trying to play the angles, I think, playing Gehrig from in front. Gehrig, as we know, has explosive pace, but Hamill waited the kick well enough to clear him.
And it's all about where actually now Fraser Gehrig's having the shot on goal. Lee Brown's trying to cut the corridor off, as you said, but the way the ball came in, it was weighted accordingly, and G-Train's having a shot on goal. But it is a hard angle for a left footer.
He's kicked 1 goal, 6 for the season, Fraser Gehrig. Accuracy was his trademark last year. See how he goes with this tight shot. He's a confidence player. Tries to bend it back. That is a beauty. Wonderful kick from Fraser Gehrig. And that's exactly what he and the Saints needed. That'll be great for his confidence. As Wells comes off to be replaced by the youngster Blake Grimmer. And Brooks will come off for Fisher for the Saints. But great start for Fraser Gehrig, a man who's kicked 1-6 in the opening couple of weeks, sprayed some chances, but that will do his confidence the world of good.
It's important to get off to a good start, and we see here Hamill really did force the issue there, and that's Aaron Hamill all over. But again, to go to the #1 full forward in the game from last year, Fraser Gehrig, and a great goal.
I got to the ground about 11:30 this morning before the gates are open, and the one man that was here was Fraser Gehrig, taking pot shots at goal from all angles. Certainly paid off on that occasion.
Worth getting here a little bit earlier, you would think. Terrific shot from a very tight angle. Hale. Neither ruckman could get a hand on the ball. Thompson. Got it to a former skipper in Lenny Hayes. I think that kick was intended for Peckett. Instead, Aussie Jones was there. The Kangaroos a chance going forward for Rito towards Rocker. Play onto the call. Penny dropped the mark. Sav over the top, appealing for the free kick. You'd have to say, Gary, though, they're not doing the big 4-4 for the Kangaroos any favour with their delivery, or favours with their delivery going forward.
It's as much about the pressure that the St Kilda forwards and midfielders are actually putting on the Kangaroos as they're coming through the midfield. But certainly it's been very haphazard, as you said, Wayne.
Corey Jones does the ruck work, sharking the tap. Robert Harvey, Matt Maguire has a second bounce. Outside defensive 50. Kick up in the direction of Hamill. Pratt, good tackle. Oh, it's Willing in there. All tied up. Makepeace makes sure of that as Raf Clark is replaced by Aaron Fiora. Ferrito by Simpson. We'll have a bounce.
Certainly a lot of rotations, and Ferrito had Harvey originally, then he's gone on to Hayes. But certainly at the moment, I feel that St Kilda's midfield is on top of the Kangaroos at this stage. 5
interchanges to 4 in favour of the Saints. Both sides working the benches heavily. 30 to 32 degrees here in Melbourne today. Thompson. Indiscriminate handball picked off by Makepeace to centre half forward. Maguire goes back with a flight, and at the back of the contest was Goddard, judged at the best. And now Hudson breaks to the City wing. Fisher there as well. Numbers for the Saints to set up. Fisher, handball to Maguire, confronted by Harvey, swats him aside. Takes some time to balance up. Stabs it towards Thompson. It was an ordinary kick. Simpson picked it off. Can the Roos make them pay on the counter punch? Piccioni to Jones. No one there at all inside 50 for the Roos. It's a race back. Sainsbury versus Baker. Flying in across the screen was Thompson. Ackland did it well, but then turned it over. Grimmer Held when not in possession. Goes again. Taken down by Ackland. Again held when not in possession. Will get this one. Free kick to Blake Brimmer.
Gary, you're seeing how the Kangaroos are going in there with no real forward target. What would you do if you're the coach in the coach's box for the Kangaroos right now?
There's probably two things that I would say, Wayne, is that Drew Petrie shouldn't work up as far as he does into the midfield, and Nathan Thompson should stay in that probably 30 to 35 metre arc out of goal. Whereas at the moment, Petrie's working up into the midfield and Thompson's working up across the 50.
Squares it up, Grimmer. Missed the target. Colbert, it was at his bootlaces. Has got some support. Dishes it off. Jones from 55. Loads it up. Goes for it. Gets the distance, but misses to the left-hand side. Behind to Corey Jones. The Kangaroos 2-2. St Kilda 3-2. We've played 22 minutes in the opening term as Del Santo brings it away from half-back.
The shepherd from Schwartz. Debatable distance travelled there. Worthy of a mark.
Because sometimes, Wayne, it's about saying to the player, play your position and don't work outside that position, whether it's full forward, forward pocket, full back.
Brown has done well on a number of occasions. Second attempt over the top was Thompson. Pachoni puts Harvey under pressure. Robert Harvey, the namesake, got it to Aaron Hamill. Dribbles the kick up. It's an intelligent 1-2. Unkind bounce for Thompson. Ball stays in. Corey Jones. Good shepherd Watt. And go to Colbert. There's a player loose inside the square, and that's Hale in the stretch. Sinclair breaks out wide. Needs a kind bounce. Finally gets it. Can he get around Brett Voss? No. Crowd wants ball. Play onto the call. Did well. Fiora. Further afield, he's got Fisher in some space. Milne goes short. Kick sits up. Runs Makepeace under the contest. Stephen Milne dispossessed. Had Garrick there. Look out. Stands in the tackle. Play on's call. Jones dispossessed. Wells, he'll clear for the moment. He's got Pachoni out wide.
Roos hanging on by their fingernails on that occasion. Pachoni now got numbers 4 to the ball. Here's Grimmer. Could go inside to Simpson or go himself. He chooses that option. Thompson one-on-one with Penny. Couldn't quite reel it in. And now the Russian roulette continues. The Saints will come sweeping down the ground through Hudson. Up the middle of the ground. Awkward kick. Missed 2 Saints. Stevens. Gang tackled by 3. Sinclair. Pachoni. He's under pressure and gone. Sinclair again for the Roos. Now to Pratt. Players just without time to get rid of the footy at the moment. Pratt goes inside 50. Grant's got the sit. Maguire going back it brilliantly. What a great mark. Firstly to not infringe, and secondly to keep his eye on the ball and genuinely go at it. Fantastic grab from Matt Maguire. Switches to Peckett. Hands off to the run of Voss. Up the middle of the ground. Milne's got to wait. Did it well. Makepeace went over the top. Milne held his ground and took the mark. 60 from home. Off a step to the pocket. Fisher reels it in. Colbert. Now Brown. And the Roos hold once more through Pratt.
Goes short to Corey Jones. Ackland guards the mark.
Probably back to that point that you made before, Wayne. It's interesting that when St Kilda come in, they have got Fraser Garrick that they can go long and strong to if they wish, and I don't think they're using him as much as they should actually. Whereas you go the Kangaroos, who are they really going to, except for Nathan Thompson with that previous kick?
Jones went back to the goal square and found Lee Brown. Got it to Makepeace, who comes inboard to his skipper, Simpson. Good run by Lee Brown. Goes long to a vacant forward line again, though. St Kilda with all the numbers. Maguire has plenty of time. Has a look further afield. Brett Voss, been a handy foil.
He's certainly on top of Sinclair, and you saw before where he actually made that great tackle, won the ball, and St Kilda went inside their forward 50.
Luke Ball comes out the near side of the ground, has Fiora, keen to play on. Risky, Del Santo. The runner, Raf Clark, goes towards Garrick. Brown, will he get there in time? No, that's a well-way to kick. Garrick plays on. Archer's there to put pressure on. Glenn Archer, would you expect anything less? Terrific tackle, certain goal, stopped by the Kangaroo veteran.
And that's on top of his smother out here on the wing just a couple of minutes ago.
I know hindsight's 20/20, but that's a relatively easy shot for Fraser Garrick to go back and kick.
Well, he's kicked the harder one, which was further out and on a more difficult angle, but I think you've got 2 players in your forward 50 if you're a St Kilda supporter, in Milne and Garrick, who you can't expect the unexpected.
Sounds like a slogan they had down at Moorabbin a couple of years ago. That didn't turn out all that well either. Harvey. High ball inside 50. Gehrig's got the sit. He'll come from behind over the top. Brown stood up. Milne front and centre. Pressure from Pratt. Was just enough. And it cannons off the post for a minor score.
And Milne's been dangerous this last 4 or 5 minutes, Jace, as well. But where a good player should be, or a small player should be, is in the front of the pack.
St Kilda's forward structure working far better than the Kangaroos. Inside 50s, level at 13 apiece. But possessions inside 50, once you get it in there, 13 to St Kilda, 4 to the Kangaroos. So the Roos have gone inside 13 times and had forwards touch it on just 4 occasions.
And that's pretty much where St Kilda really have had the wood, as you said, also too in the midfield. But probably for a couple of decisions, I think St Kilda should be probably 2 more goals in front. They've certainly been able to get it in there quite well and work it to the advantage of their forwards, but their forwards haven't been able to capitalise. Also too due in small part to the amount of pressure that Kangaroos are putting on as well. Midfield
battle pretty even at the moment. Inside 50s dead level. It's now a case of whether the Kangaroos can manufacture some scoring power inside 50. Quarter time, entertaining contest at the Telstra Dome. St Kilda 3-3, the Kangaroos 2-2. Let's head back down to Glenn Manton.
Interesting to see Glenn Archer on the bench as this second quarter starts, particularly given the fact that he had a great smother and also a great tackle in that first quarter.
Well, he and Lee Colbert have been rotating heavily throughout that first term. The 2 oldest players in the side, or certainly the 2 most battle-weary players in the side. Colbert's back out there, Archer's off. I think Dean Laidley's basically interchanging them right throughout the afternoon to keep them fresh.
He did it well last week too in the first quarter, Kangaroos v Sydney, and I thought it worked extremely well. Archer's had the most possessions he's had in any game in his career.
Second term, Telstra Dome, the Saints by 7 points. Good contest, this one. Hope you're enjoying it right around the country on Fox Footy. Simpson with the first effective disposal of the second term. Petrie taken down, hard tackle from Maguire. We'll have a bounce. Leading stat getters in the game, Brett Voss and Lenny Hayes have had 7 apiece for the Saints. 6 to Del Santo, 5 each to Hamill, Milne and Ball. While for the Kangaroos, 6 each to Makepeace, Sinclair, Colbert and Brown, all backs.
It'll be interesting to see, Jace, how long Dean Laidley perseveres with Drew Petrie. Hasn't had a touch at centre-half forward.
Piccioni to Jones, high ball to the top of the square, one-on-one, Penny and Rocker. Rocker went to ground, Penny infringed over the shoulder. Just saying to the umpire, what am I supposed to do when my man goes to ground? He carries me forward as well.
It's a frustrating position that a defender gets himself in there. Well, as we can see there, it's almost got a headlock on him. Maybe JBL from the wrestling the other night, Jace.
Didn't quite jump the fence and hit him with a steel chair, but it might have been going through his mind.
I just think that highlights the importance of a quick kick inside a vacant forward line where your key forward can contest. Penny was caught out of position. Sometimes you compensate that out of position by unfairly grabbing a player.
Nothing wrong with it. And the other thing too, Wayne, is that it's been Rocker and Penny one out. No other player in the vicinity of about 30 metres.
Severio starts the day 4 behind Matthew Lloyd in total career goals. He's now 3 behind him. He's slotted that one. Perfect start for the Roos in this second term. And again, a much better structure when you can get the ball in quickly to a key forward, one-on-one with his man. St Kilda no time to get opposition back there. And that's certainly a scenario that Severio Rocker would relish. He'd fancy himself one-on-one against Luke Penny every time.
Well, because he'd say that he's a bit quicker and he's also too stronger. But isn't it the advantage of what we said before about a forward playing his position? Severio Rocker is a full forward, as we know. He's kicked over 600 goals. And here he is in the right area. The kicks come in long and high. Stood his ground. Penny gave away a free kick.
So Rocker with his first for the afternoon. 1 point margin in favour of St Kilda. Simpson. Got it to Clark. Brooks hurriedly. Play on's the call. Sinclair wants holding the ball.
Touched off
the boot. Good decision by umpire Sean Ryan. Officiating this afternoon's match with Corin Rowe and Shane McInerney.
You get a feel for the moment for this game, Wayne, that it's actually how the Kangaroos would like to play. Nothing much in it. It's a bit of a scrap.
Simpson out of the ruck towards Brent Harvey. Jones over in the ball. Oh, Hayes was good there in a tight situation. Heads towards the boundary line. Hamill tracks it over the line. We'll have a throw in.
Another reason to close the roof. It plays havoc with the TV cameras. We apologise when the ball goes from light to shade, but there is nothing that can be done. Our cameramen doing the best they possibly can. It really does play havoc when the ball goes from light to shade, and the lenses just freak out.
Ackland to Hamill. Ball to Harvey.
Clever kick.
Terrific kick, but we've seen it so often throughout Robert Harvey's career. In tight situations, heavy traffic, good players have an uncanny awareness and ability, Gary, to find space.
He never gets flustered, and Rob Harvey must be so strong around his hips where he can actually pivot and then just change direction and then push off, and then that kick was into the corridor, and Milne's now got a kick on goal, which you'd think with his ability he should convert to 6 points.
Directly in front, a kick from 40 metres. Stephen Milne, oh, it's a terrible looking kick, floats towards the goal square, and Jess Sinclair chops in and takes an easy chest mark. But we've seen a number of poor disposals, especially by the foot this afternoon.
Is it the sun?
There's something wrong with the footy perhaps. Well, I don't think we can go that far. That would be stretching the truth somewhat.
Well, it got mixed up from light to shade from when it left his hand and hit his boot, did it?
He might have had a bit of that grippo on his hand, and of course the ball stuck to it possibly.
Colwood goes back to Sinclair. Short again, finds Grant. Still camped. The defensive end of the ground for the Kangaroos, Shannon Grant. Terrific last quarter last week. Three goals saw the Kangaroos home in a tight affair against the Swans. Ferrito, outer side of the ground. Still working in the shadows. Sainsbury. Short, but that's a half-hearted lead. Hale, it's down the line. Petrie will have to stop. Too much on the kick for him. Thompson did well. Evaded the tackler. Petrie goes back to Brent Harvey.
Free kick coming back over the shoulder, going the way of the Roos.
There's certainly a lot of rotations, players upon play. You had Jones and Grant, then it was Baker and Grant, Wells, Hayes. There's a lot of rotations in that midfield at the moment.
Speaking of Grant, here he is, spears it inside 50. Good effort from Max Hudson, going back with courage, and we know that's a commodity he's got plenty of. As Fiora returns to the field of battle, replacing Barry Brooks. Good effort from Max Hudson, put his body on the line. Has worn many injuries for the Saints, doing just that over the years. Again, we saw the speed of Rocker. He had Luke Penny done well and truly then. Here's Del Santo. Hand off to the run of Harvey. Under pressure from Rocker. Had some support in the form of Penny. Nell Del Santo off half back. He's got Hudson, who's broken. You saw him down in the back pocket moments ago. Ran hard to create an option. 65 from home, spears towards Hamill, one grab, couldn't hang on. Gehrig at the back, teams up with Hamill, great effort from Lee Brown, kept his eye on the ball, went hard at the man, and the ball taken to the line. He didn't sit back off the contest, he kept his eye on the football, read it beautifully and stuck the tackle.
Well, he basically had to take 2 players on there, Jason. That was just a fantastic effort from Lee Brown. He's certainly in good confidence with the way he's playing at this point in time.
Watt up at the front, dangerous to take it out of the ruck. Umpire said he tried to get rid of it. Milne ducking and weaving. The artful dodges through 2 or 3, but now he's gone. Advantage paid. Makepeace streams away. Handball awkward. That one was the Sun. Grant got it right in the eyes. Dropped the football. Makepeace. Backed up. Went to Thompson on centre wing. He's got a couple of metres on Hudson. Ordinary kick on the left. Sainsbury and Jones will go at it at ground level. Sainsbury turns on the Jets. He runs to 35. He runs to 15. And he bangs it through for a goal. Great pace from Eddie Sainsbury. And the Roos have started the second term in fine form. They're back in front, 4-2-26. St Kilda 3-3-21. We've gone 6.5 in the second.
You'd be pretty disappointed, Jace, on 2 efforts there. One with Milne just trying to do far too much and got caught. And here, Aussie Jones, there was no defensive pressure on Sainsbury at all. And he certainly did break what was a pretty ordinary tackle. And he ran in and kicked a good goal.
Well, he replaced Lee Harding in the lineup last week. 7 possessions, 1 goal. He's got his first for the afternoon. The Kangaroos got the first 2 in the opening quarter, and they've started the second exactly the same fashion. 5 points the margin. Simpson wrapped up in a tackle, taken too high though, wins himself the free kick, doesn't waste any time, goes out towards Colbert. He's got himself into some space. Tumbles the kick up towards Brent Harvey. Might have lost that in the sun. Aussie Jones needs to be quick. Jones mows him down. That's holding the ball. Play on. Handball to Brent Harvey. Gets it back to Jones. Important kick. Got around the tackler of Harvey. Heads towards the top of the square. Rocker outnumbered 2-1. Wants a free kick. Not coming behind.
We mentioned how even the contest was through the middle of the ground. The Roos now starting to get a structure in place, and it's turned the way we expected.
It has, and they're putting the pressure back onto St Kilda. And really, St Kilda at the moment, I think, are playing some pretty dumb footy. They're just trying to do far too much when they get the ball.
Short kick to the back pocket. Now it'll come to Penny. Marks in front of Shannon Grant. Tumbles it towards the City side. Maguire pushes off Wells. It's ambitious to try and outrun Daniel Wells. Fortunately had some support. Here comes Troy Schwartz storming through centre wing. No one coming at him. Runs to 60 metres. Gehrig at the back. Brown at the front. Is reigning supreme at the moment. Lee Brown playing a belter of a game. Gehrig with the one goal, which was an absolutely sensational kick. But in the one-on-ones at the moment, honours to Lee Brown. Pachoni received a screen from Sinclair. Runs to the wing. Goes towards Corey Jones. One-on-one with Ball. Ball landed awkwardly. It's just getting up a little bit gingerly. Seems to be okay. Throw in 60 metres out from the Kangaroo goal.
Ball seems like he's matched up on Darren Harris at the moment. He's actually doing quite a good job, Harris, in this quarter.
Throw in. Simpson tried to be the third man up. Went through his hands though. Ackland to Peckett. Raf Clark breaks to centre half back and takes the mark. He's got Fiora over the top. Spots him now. Awkward looking kick. Fiora will get there on the full. Gehrig now comes steaming out on the long lead. Brown tries to work the angle. Gehrig goes to the pocket. The ball bounces out. And again we saw Lee Brown happy to concede boundary side positioning to Fraser Gehrig. Realising he's not quite as quick. If he works the angle, starts slightly in front of him and can work across his lead, he can actually cut off some ground.
Because you would think Fraser's got the speed on Brown, but it's the last two entries that have gone inside St Kilda's forward 50. They haven't helped Fraser Gehrig either.
Colbert the tap. Ricocheted out of the pack. Milne wears a heavy one from Sinclair. It was a good football collision. Play on call. Hamill tries to vigorously extricate that football. Harris, free kick coming back. It's going the way of the Roos. Holding decision in that mess. It went to Pratt. Handball's off. Grant from half back down the line. Sainsbury the target. Ugly kick floats wide, out of bounds on the full.
Jones doesn't waste any time. Has Peckett short. Does the same to Robert Harvey. Goes towards Gehrig. Hamill in front. Got his hands on the ball. Wins himself a free kick. Daniel Pratt infringes. Corin Rowe just explains the decision. And a correct one, Gary, you'd think.
Most definitely. And it's going to be interesting too, Wayne, that with St Kilda's forward setup, we said in that first quarter that we thought they looked dangerous, but it's interesting that if Gehrig at the moment is being beaten by Brown, Hamill to me seems like their only real live wire. Oh, that was silly. Absolutely silly by Michael Stevens. Must have had a brain fade, I think, then.
He's heading towards the bench. And I think he realised actually what he was about to do, but continued on with the decision, Gary. So let's just put that down to the extreme heat.
So what did he do?
He ran through the mark.
He was very apologetic, though, too, to the umpire, wasn't he?
Oh, that's handy after you've already done it, isn't it?
Aaron Hamill for his second of the afternoon. No problems there. The Saints get one back.
In this day and age, when a game is so tight, there are just little lapses in concentration, and we see here that Michael Stevens has started behind the man on the mark and the umpire, puts his hands.
All right, you got me. I'm done. I'm done. Horrible feeling, isn't it?
Oh, well, there was nowhere to hide. He was running to the bench, as Wayne said too, but you'll have a couple of minutes to think about that now. But certainly the Kangaroos have got him under enormous pressure. You just don't want that pressure to be relieved by something silly like that.
You'll be blaming Dean Laidley for taking him off at that particular time.
I know who Dean will be blaming.
12 minutes gone, second term. Scores dead level at the Dome. Hale got the tap, palmed it back to Pachoni. Couldn't quite gather at ground level. Thompson did. Ball one high from Cole, but umpire was blindsided. We'll have a bounce.
Just a little bit of a sideline here while the boys are getting ready to set up at the stoppage. Voss has taken Sinclair deep to the goal square. I'm sure that's to try and get him one out and expose him overhead.
Fraser Gehrig just the one touch. That was that mark and goal. Lee Brown, his opponent, has had 7 possessions, 3 marks. Here's Harvey. Handball to Fiora, wants to get back on the left. Shannon Grant to run him down, slip the tackle. Fiora bends it back across the face. Gehrig right to the line, minus score. So Aaron Fiora gets on the board this afternoon. The Saints 4-4. The Roos 4-3. 12 minutes remaining in this second term. Troy Makepeace to bring it in. Goes to himself. Wants the city side of the ground. Will launch it long. Hails his target. The big man worked his opponent under it. Umpire said illegally. Hands in the back.
This day and age, you just can't use your hands to get any sort of stability or push off your opponent, as he did in that case, because the umpire's going to play a free kick every time.
Ackland to Jones. Marshalling the troops. Bombs it long inside 50. Again, Gehrig gets worked under it by Brown. Couldn't take the mark. Shunted out of the way by Milne. Umpire calls play on. Colbert wrapped up by Gehrig. Corey Jones in there working hard as well. They'll have a bounce 30 metres out as Hamill and Corey Jones flex their muscle.
At least I think Fraser's thinking about his game too, because he hasn't been able to mark over the top of Lee Brown, and now he's actually assumed front position the last couple of times, Wayne, that they've gone inside forward 50.
Gehrig in the ruck against Brown. Umpire goes to ground. Archer, boot to ball. Ricochets, still alive. Wells to Sinclair. Pokes the kick wide. Makepeace has got to stand underneath it, and does. Wants to play on and come back towards the dock side of the ground. In the end, he decides to go long towards the wing. Numbers there for St Kilda. It was why he was reluctant in the first place to go in that direction, and Peckett picked it off.
Squares the ball to Fiora. Is Clark short and lateral if he wants? Well, it was intended for him. The disposal let him down. Kangaroos might rebound here. Piccioni towards Harvey. He's outnumbered 3-1. Fiora has a second attempt. Goes to Hayes. Has time. Looks up. Goes towards Voss. Wells with a good spoil. Still a loose ball. Baker coming through on the charge. Did well. Got it to Milne. On this occasion, he handballed it off. Archer with a fist. Sees the ball out of bounds. We'll have a throw in as Aaron Hamill pleads with his forwards to go long to the goal square.
The other thing that's happening too, Wayne, is that some of the St Kilda midfielders, i.e. Goddard and even Harvey, aren't actually being sucked into St Kilda's forward 50. So at the moment, they're forming a wall just outside St Kilda's forward 50 arc.
Brown, dangerous, over the back. Wells clean. High ball now up towards the wing, outer side of the ground. Sainsbury there with Jones. Gives away a free kick.
Goddard.
See Jones starting to find the ball. Caught it right, Gary. Goddard's got loose. Has Swartz in support. Goddard goes alone. Hamill, one out with Pratt. On the second attempt, takes the mark as Ackland meets him late. 50-metre penalty.
St Kilda doing all the attacking in this term. 9 inside 50s to 4, yet the Roos have scored 2 goals to 1.
Pratt happy to go across the face of goal. Finds Petrie. Piccioni breaks. Marks the ball. Just inside the boundary line.
He's got no one to kick to here, Wayne. He looks up and there's Matt Maguire just standing basically on the wing all on his own.
Just getting plenty of numbers back, the Kangaroos, which they so often do. Risky kick there. On the third attempt, Goddard takes the mark.
Centre wing looks up. What's he got inside 50? Again, they decide to launch it long. Milne, Gehrig, 2 up. Brown and Gehrig, how will the umpire see it? It's almost a jump ball, and that's what he calls. Ball up. Both coming in from the opposite sides. Both had a piece of it. Fraser feels aggrieved. Lee Brown says, well, as a defender, I'll take that. Certainly better than a man marking it. Let's have another look. Gee, it looked like Fraser, didn't it? No wonder he looked aggrieved. Thompson, hands off to Fiora. Goddard, trying to get some room around Archer. Tough thing to do. Ferrito to Grant. Now can the Roos break into some space? Sinclair. Back to Shannon Grant. Hard run around the city wing. Good pressure from St Kilda. And that will cause a turnover. Fiora, smack bang in the middle of the ground. Raking left boot, spears the kick. It was over the head of Milne. Wells, eyes lit up. Brown read it the best. Now Harvey. And again, the Roos camped in their own defensive half at the moment, as they have been for much of the quarter. Inside 50s, 10-4 now in favour of the Saints. Schwartz tried to put the foot down, couldn't get past the big man Hale, just lost his grip. Ackland, Baker, Goddard again, been busy since coming on. Chips it short. Bang!
350.
Colbert came in hard on Peckett. It won't be 50. It'll be a kick to Peckett 60 metres from goal. The next kick's been the problem.
Got himself lucky, Lee Colbert.
It was a bit all or nothing, wasn't it, Wayne?
Peckett Again, they'll go long to the top of the square. Some tall timber there. Flying over the top was Pratt. It's a mark. It's going the way of the Saints. Brett Voss at the back. Pratt flew over the top, split the pack wide open, landed on Brett Voss's chest. And here's Pratt and Milne. Hamill in there as well.
Probably getting a bit hot and bothered at the moment, Jace.
Corey Jones and Hamill, there's a bit of history there in the last 10 minutes. Been pretty keen to go at each other.
Colbert from Michael Stevens.
Brett Voss for his first score, his first goal rather, in season 2005. He's kicked 2 behinds in this game so far, both in the first term. This to extend St Kilda's lead. Gets close to the man on the mark, but puts it through. Saints out to a 7-point lead. They've had to work overtime for that second goal in this term. 5-4-34, Kangaroos 4-3-27. The margin now 7 points. Inside 50s 12-4 this quarter for 2 goals apiece.
And that's been brought about, and we see here, Pratt's just gone up, he's just misjudged it, and Voss, who I think's been a good player for St Kilda by playing up forward, because he does give you that aerial strength, also to that ability from a defensive point of view to chase and tackle and harass, and has been rewarded with the goal. But the thing is, we're finding is that St Kilda players, especially around that midfield area, are allowing their opposition players to go into St Kilda's forward 50 and not getting sucked in. So it's a little bit, we'll kick it in, but then it comes straight back out, tight footy.
Ackland had to wait, did well. Thumps it long, inside 50. Brown! Well, he's fighting a lone hand down there. He's doing a terrific job on Fraser Gehrig, but geez, he just continues to improve, Lee Brown.
You'd like Fraser perhaps just to contest a bit more though, Wayne. Getting caught behind, slow off the mark.
Grimmer. For Hale, well, it was well weighted. That was the long and the short of it. Luke Ball, short in centimetres. Certainly not in stature. Shannon Watt it was. Good kick, finds Grant. Better build-up. Michael Stevens breaks.
They've got Thompson on Hayes inside 50. Lenny Hayes is looking for some support because he realises he's very much outsized.
Ferrito. Sansbury. Waits. Petrie. Something presented eventually.
Matt Maguire questioning whether that was 15 metres.
Inside 50s, 13-5 in favour of the Saints. So this becomes an important shot at goal, Gary.
And Petrie, who's been very quiet, but once again we saw the patient build-up. The Kangaroos weren't forced into doing something that they didn't want to do, and then they found some guys who are prepared to lead into space. Hence Petrie now gets a shot on goal.
Just his second touch for the game, Drew Petrie.
Right thigh, heavily strapped. Received a corky in the second quarter last week. Will take his best. Starts it right. It's coming back. It's a terrific kick. He likes it. Drew Petrie gets his first for the afternoon. And the margin back to 1 behind.
There's certainly a quality in Drew Petrie that you admire, and that is that he does compete and he competes hard. But you see here Sansbury, not fussed, just turns around, and look, you can't question whether that particular ball did go 15 metres or not, but the umpires adjudicated it in the positive, and Petrie's gone back and kicked a very timely goal.
They're playing efficient football this quarter, the Roos. Have only been inside 50 on 5 occasions for 3 goals. It's keeping them in this contest. Converse at the other end, Saints have gone in 13 times for just 2 goals. Hale in the middle against Ackland. Point the difference at the Dome. Approaching half-time. Infringement. Holding off the contest. It's going the way of St Kilda and Nick Del Santo. Possession number 9 coming up. Fiora and Hayes lead the game for the Saints with 10 apiece. Sinclair's had 11 and Grant 10 for the Kangaroos. As Ackland and Brooks interchange. Thompson has it 75 metres out at right half forward for the Saints. Can go short to Harvey. Harvey inside 50. On the lead was Voss. That wasn't the intended target. Fiora just cut across in front of him and took the mark.
It's very difficult at times to actually be so pinpoint accurate. And in that case, really, it was a lucky kick because we know it was actually meant for. And Fiora's just taken the front position and just chipped it in front of Brett Voss.
Had a real influence in this second term. Fiora coming up for his 7th possession for the quarter after 3 in the opening term. Had a shot for goal earlier in the term and missed. From 45 out, keeps it low, makes good contest and drills it home. Saints respond. They're 6-4-40. The Roos are 5-3-33. Played 23 minutes in the second term at the Telstra Dome as Matt Maguire comes off for a breather, replaced by Maxie Hudson.
And look, we can certainly say this is lucky, but I think one thing that St Kilda are doing is they are persisting and they are getting the ball in numerous times, as we've already mentioned in our call. But certainly if you persist enough, something will open up and a little bit of luck comes your way, and that's what occurred then. And one thing we know about Aaron Fiora is he's generally a very good kick whenever he gets the ball on or around about 50.
3 goals apiece to either side in the second quarter. We make our way towards half-time. Hale against Brooks. Took one to the side of the head. Heavy clash there. Hayes and Grimmer. Ball goes inside 50 towards Thompson. Has to do the spoiling on this occasion. Harvey took the tackle. Baker clears it momentarily. High ball. Brooks will arrive late. Would have spoiled his own teammate in Thompson. Sinclair to Simpson. Important disposal coming up. Goes towards the pocket. Rocker with strength. Couldn't take the mark. Shannon Grant, can he keep it in play? He does. And goals. The quick reply to the Kangaroos. We talk about Aaron Fiora, Jason. Shannon Grant's had 9 second quarter possessions. He's the equivalent to the Kangaroos at the moment.
And having an influence, a big influence on this game. He started the season in fantastic form. And that was a good piece of thinking. Kept it alive. But again, we saw Rocker one out with Penny. That's a problem for the Saints.
Well, the thing is that what's happening is that the guys who have got the ball, they're capable of getting it in there quickly. And that's what the Kangaroos like to do, one out to Rocker and Penny. And there was a show of strength there. And Grant just had enough now to kick it along the ground and he picked it up.
12 touches for Grant. That's a real bonus because he's only played 25 minutes of a possible 52. They like to save him up as the game breaker in the second half. So any damage he can do in the first half of the game is a real bonus. He's plenty fresh. He's only played half the game at this stage. Ball emerged, but a free kick plucked out. It's going the way of the Roos. As Paccioni scraps at ground level with Luke Ball, wanting the football back. Now Paccioni decides he'll break and create a target. Ferrito. Hands off to Archer. Goes up the middle. Here is Grant again. Good fist from behind by Raph Clark. Grimmer can't get through the Hayes tackle. Handball puts Simpson under pressure. Here's Sinclair, bumped off it by Goddard, affected the kick. Harvey, awkward bounce for him. Peckett and Grant take it to the line for a throw in. Just under 3.5 minutes until half time. Both sides be desperate for a break. 32 degrees in Melbourne today. As Fiora comes off, he's had an impact in the second term, keeping him fresh. Aussie Jones has had a break and he'll come back on. Here's Raph Clark, he's a great mover. Handball to Peckett, Goddard under pressure. Went to ground, caught one high. It was the most incidental of touches from David Hale. But a free kick nonetheless.
Touched him.
Goddard spots him, he goes in that direction. Opens up the forward 50 for the Saints. Thought about going to the pocket, then wanted to bring it back to the corridor. Some numbers there for St Kilda. Fisher will fly. Brought it down, but didn't have first touch. Play on will be called. Umpire saying it was touched off the boot. I think he's saying it was touched in the contest, actually, not off the boot. Let's have another look. Yeah, plenty of hands on that one. Again, we see Grant from the congestion. Dribbles it out towards the boundary line and finds it. Throw in. 2 minutes 24 on the clock. Here's Lee Colbert getting some work done. As I mentioned, he and Glenn Archer have spent plenty of time rotating through the bench to keep them fresh this afternoon. Thompson against Brooks. Thompson at the front. Ineffective tap. Pinched by Hayes. Slick hands to Peckett. The Saints are away. Peckett from 52 metres. Gehrig taken out of it by Brown illegally. Had position. The kick went to Gehrig's side of the contest. It was a favourable delivery from Justin Peckett. Gehrig held his ground, took the contact and won himself the free kick.
And really, that's where a forward likes it. Just waited enough out in front. If the ball comes into his area, and Fraser's just used his strength very well, he just propped, and Brown gave away the free kick. Hence, Fraser's now got a shot on goal.
So Gehrig for his second. It's Been fairly lean pickings for him this afternoon. Just the one touch. That was that goal he kicked in the opening term. Chance to boot his second. Give the Saints a handy break again. He's done just that. Margin back out to 7 points. Goal for goal game at the Telstra Dome this afternoon. As Grimmer comes off to be replaced by Harvey. Sainsbury on as well for the Kangaroos.
Well, the goal came from this setup. You've got no player there, Gary, on the defensive side of Lenny Hayes. You've got to make sure that with a player like Frankie Peckett, you've got to be goal side or defensive side of them. Any open space, easy delivery, it gives a player like Fraser Garrick, if he doesn't mark the ball, a chance.
And of course, the thing that Frankie did do then is he actually ran, carried the ball, and then drove it into St Kilda's goal line. Really, it was only ended up being about 10 or 15 metres out from the 10-yard square.
46 plays, 39. Half time, not far away. Simpson, kick smothered by Ball. The Saints will go forward again. Chance for another one. Garrick in front. Brown with a good spoil. Staying down was Mill. You'd expect that. Makepeace. Hamill arrives late. Got the kick away though. Goddard on this occasion can't keep it in. Brent Harvey makes sure of that.
It's also been a real tactical battle too, Wayne, as far as the players that have been used through the midfield. It's been Piccioni and Ball who have played on each other a fair bit this quarter. Harvey's come off, now he's come back on. That's actually Brent Harvey. Robert Harvey spent time at half-back in this quarter late.
Daniel Harris got the handball back to the man of the moment for the Kangaroos, Shannon Grant. On this occasion, couldn't clear the ball. Hamill, wrong side of the body. Good centering kick towards Garrick. Got a hand to it. Brown. Good battle, that one. Wells will clear for the moment. The Kangaroos out of danger.
Nothing to go to, so it's a foot race towards the line. Peckett will put a screen on Michael Stevens. Milne tried to work with Peckett. Makepeace arrived as well. And the ball finds the boundary.
Fraser's certainly getting his hands to the ball a lot more this week.
Looking dangerous, isn't he?
Previous games.
Lee Brown's just got that Stephen Silvani-like ability to seem like he's out of a contest, but somehow just get a hand in there, bring it to ground.
Just closes on him late.
Deft little tap from Nathan Thompson. Baker slipped through the tackle from Harris. Inside 50. Hamill steaming towards that football. Hands off to Jones. If Aussie can gather, he can wheel around onto that left boot. Goes towards the top of the square. Clark waits underneath it. Archer arrives late. Makes him earn it. Raf Clark in his second game of football would have heard the footsteps. Would have been thinking, gee, I hope it's not Glenn Wack.
Look, people mightn't agree with this, but I think if you're going to give away a free kick, you make sure that it's a legitimate free kick and he gets up a little bit sore. And in today's game, you probably shouldn't say that, but it shouldn't be a soft free kick.
Looking at it, there's the spoil.
A little bit to go on with. Across the bow, but
it's well earned, and of course Raf Clark's only a young player, and we know one thing that Glenn Archer always does, he commits himself 110% to the ball, and in this case it's a spoil. And look, he's an exuberant player, we know that. He's a great player, he's a champ, and he's really made Raf Clark earn this free kick.
Look at him just staring down Raf Clark going, how'd you like that one?
There's more of that to come, you'd think.
Yeah, welcome to the game. Let's have a look at Raf now. Just got to get his composure, settle himself down, and a chance to kick his first goal in league football, and gee, he's earned this one.
He's been good for the Saints through the midfield today.
Very good mover. Tough match-up when he starts to fill out. A very, very good player from 40 metres out. On its way. Just pushed it across the face.
No damage done to the scoreboard.
Minor score. 8 points the margin. Would have been a good one to tell the grandkids. How'd you get your first goal? Oh, cop one from Glenn Archer, but I went back and drilled it. Well, he might get the opportunity to cop another one from Glenn Archer before the day's out. We'll see how we go.
The crowd, St Kilda fans, certainly letting Glenn Archer know their thoughts. That last indiscretion. Comes to the near side of the ground. Hamill, tackled by Ferrito and Petrie and Simpson over the top. And prepared to go on from it. He doesn't mind that sort of stuff, Aaron Hamill.
Nor does Stephen Baker.
Yeah. Good umpiring by Corin Rowe. As there's a siren for half time. The Saints kicked 4, as did the Kangaroos. 7-5-47. Entertaining first half of football. 6-3, 39 the Kangaroos. The Saints in front by 8 points.
It's a good game of football, isn't it? There's a bit of passion, a bit of fire in it. It's going to be interesting to see what effect the conditions have in the second half. Which side's got the legs? We know the Kangaroos in warm conditions in the first 2 weeks have been able to run out games exceptionally well. Troy Schwartz and Lee Brown just wanting to go on with it a little bit there, and the umpire's getting in between and saying, go to your respective rooms, boys, and settle down, have a cool drink, get the ice vests out. We'll do the same thing, maybe without the ice vests, to be back after the break to have a look at this great game of footy. There's great champion Olympic gold medal decathlete Daley Thompson on the St Kilda bench. But the Roos have been able to just hang in games against Carlton and Sydney, more so last week against the Swans. They were 17 points down midway through the third term, hung in, really did take it up another gear and run over the top of the Swans. I'm sure Grant Thomas will be drumming that message home to St Kilda players at half-time.
And you also look at the way the games were played last week too, Jace, in that it was Fremantle St Kilda in the wet conditions versus Sydney, and also to the Swans up in Canberra in hot conditions. So whether that has a bearing or not today.
Third term at the Dome. St Kilda leading it by 8 points. Good game of football. A long way to go in this one. Petrie now in the ruck for the Roos up against Ackland. Ackland got the tap. Again, they pile in. It's been very tough around the clinches this afternoon. Both sides throwing themselves in with gay abandon.
Interesting little sideline too, Wayne, in that both the forward setups are very similar in that they're just basically a straight line up and down the ground from end to end.
It's a turn of phrase, Wayne. Wells got the tap. Here's Voss. Handball went looking for ball, just floated through the air a little bit. Simpson ran him down. Corey Jones in the non-preferred right boot. You can see why it is non-preferred. That one goes straight over the line and out of bounds. Jones with 9 possessions in the first half, 5 of those taking the ball inside 50. Robert Harvey receiving some treatment on the bench. Petrie got the tap, then went to follow up his own work. We'll have yet another throw in.
Certainly looks like we've got that matchup too, Jace, with Hamill and also to Archer on one another.
Petrie and Ackland. Grant peels off the back of the contest. Handball to Wells. It's been a struggle for Daniel Wells again this afternoon. 8 possessions in the first half. Pratt. High ball towards 50. Jones in position. Going back with a flight. Great mark taken by Adam Simpson. He's got Sainsbury standing by himself 20 metres out from goal. The kick will take some time to get there. The Saints converge, but too little too late. And Sainsbury will go back from 20 metres out, slight angle, to give the Roos the ideal start.
Great way to start the quarter too in Adam Simpson, who we know is well known for his courage, and to be able to then get back quickly and look back into the corridor. And as we said, Sainsbury's all on his own. Maguire just a little bit late.
So the man on the mark's taken a few steps backward. Interesting to see Jess Sinclair come across and mark a spot on the ground for Eddie Sainsbury to say, look, run no closer than that. Very interesting to see that interaction between 2 different players there. And Sainsbury obliges, runs to the spot, kicks through the football and puts it through. Good start for the Roos. His second goal. And again, the Kangas hang in.
And he came across from South Australia as a noted goal kicker anyway. One grand final there, he certainly was on fire and kicked a lot of goals. But look, we see this, and this is really leading from the front. Someone like Adam Simpson goes back, takes a courageous mark, gets back quickly off the mark for all those young kids watching. Looks to be able to give the ball off, and Sainsbury's on his own in a much better position to score a goal.
In that SANFL Grand Final, he actually was playing on Adam Cooney for a while, I think, and really did give him a bit of a touch-up, which is a pretty good performance. We know what a good player Adam Cooney is.
So as they have in the first 2 quarters of the match, the Kangaroos get the opening goal. Third quarter follows suit. Petrie stayed down. Ackland got a hand on the ball. Ties up Lenny Hayes and will have a secondary bounce.
Voss has also got another opponent playing forward for St Kilda. He's now got Pratt. Sinclair's been moved off him.
A lot of numbers inside the centre square. Clark, loose man in defence for the Saints. Wells over the top, got it out to Grant. What a second quarter he had, Shannon Grant. Off to Archer. Can come to the near side of the ground. Michael Stevens got a kind bounce. Dishes it off to Makepeace. Towards Sainsbury. Ran Baker underneath the ball. Will the ball stay in? No. We'll have a throw in. 70 metres from the Kangaroos goal. They've got the opening goal of this quarter. The margin now 2 points. 7-5 plays 7-3. Petrie. Ackland worked his way to the front a little bit too easily. Petrie, high ball. They'll contest 30 metres from the Kangaroos goal. Maguire. Del Santo. Chased by Sainsbury. Good pressure. Harvey with the smother. The Saints aren't out of trouble yet.
Clever.
Jones got it to Goddard and the Saints might be away.
Chip short to the wing. Fisher pushes up and presents. Now has to wait for some options to come streaming past. Wants to go long. Gehrig leads towards the pocket yet again. One-on-one with Brown in good position. Couldn't quite hang on. Gehrig at ground level. Off the right boot. Snaps at goal and misses. And Fraser's dirty on having his jumper held. Look, it seemed to be there too, I've got to say. He definitely did have a piece of the jumper, Lee Brown. The umpire missed it.
But it's good to see Fraser actually have a second effort here and be able to pick the ball up and have a shot on goal. So he just seems to be getting better and better as the quarters unfold.
Long ball from the kick-in. Fisted away from the contest. Crunch. Jess Sinclair came in hard over the top of Luke Ball. And the St Kilda skipper, the acting captain, at 20 years of age. What a talent. Pick number 2 in the 2001 draft. Third in the Rising Star in 2003. And he will come off. Face buried into the Telstra Dome turf.
It's just a careless tackle, Jess Sinclair. He was always going to have him wrapped up. He just had to stand up in the tackle rather than bury the stand-in capper for the Saints.
Actually, the nose went into Jess Sinclair's forearm as he came down. That's how it landed. Hits the blood. Raphael Clark, 55 out, chips it short to the pocket and finds Milne. Got it on quickly.
It was good play by Raphael Clark there too, to actually come from behind Goddard and actually push into the space. So we quite often say that space is in front of the player with the ball, but it's also good to see a player like Raph Clark, who hasn't played a lot of senior footy, actually run into that space coming from behind the guy with the ball, which was Goddard, and he's got it on well to Milne.
What's going through his mind, Stephen Milne? Is he thinking about taking the man on the mark? Anything's possible. Will he go back and have a set shot? He does just that. Looks good off the boot. Holds its line. And it's through for a major. Milne gets his first. And St Kilda respond. Margin back out to 9 points.
I think that's why we love to watch Stephen Milne when he actually does things that are quite predictable. A lot of times he's very unpredictable, as we saw when he took on 3 or 4 guys, and you're just not going to get around those guys being so small. But he actually worked it well by receiving the short pass, and then he just goes back and just slots a goal, which was really quite a difficult angle.
Spoken like a true coach, Gary. But importantly, the Saints respond through Stephen Milne. 154 career goals in 76 games. Petrie. Coming hard off the line was Corey Jones. Fiora won himself a free kick. Advantage paid. Clark finding a bit of the ball now to Voss. They break. Hayes, one of those players. Voss decides to go along in the direction of Hamill. Worn closely by Archer. Here's a couple of angry young men. Ball stays in. Archer gets up first. Hayes applies the tackle. Crowd wants ball. We'll have a throw in. Right half forward flank. Forward 50 for St Kilda. Ackland grabbed it out of the ruck. Just strolls away from the contest. Wells, did he get a hand on it? High ball. Gehrig. Oh, he's done that a couple of times this afternoon. Tapped it back in the direction of Milne, but Makepeace sees it out of bounds. We'll have a throw in. Opposite side of the ground. Forward pocket for the Saints. Still threatening.
Wayne Fraser's just got to keep hanging in there too, because you can just see that it's about to turn.
Ackland. Only as far as Sinclair. Around the corner.
Sinclair looks like he's been pushed up to the wing on Fiora, and there's been just that many tactical battles going on within the midfield structures of both sides, whether it's been Paccioni on Harvey, we've talked about Sinclair on Fiora, ball's been tagged by Harris, you've now got Ferrito and Del Santo.
Ackland, as is his preference, wants to get to the front. Thompson dispossessed. Archer coming through. Simpson. Heavy traffic, heads towards the safety of the boundary line. Shannon Grant wants to keep it in. Lenny Hayes makes sure that that doesn't eventuate. We'll have another throw in. 80 metres from the St Kilda goal. 1 goal apiece in this third term.
The other thing too, Wayne, is that Shannon Grant's very good at actually pouncing on the ball, or a loose ball in this case, from a stoppage.
Petrie at the front. Little tap to the front of that contest. Pratt with clean hands, picked it up, and then undid the work. Was touched off the boot. Another throw in.
A lot of blocking going too off these stoppages, Wayne, at the moment as well. We're trying to free up players from their respective sides as well.
9 points the margin in favour of the Saints. We've played 9 minutes in the third term. This game in the balance. Again, we see the Kangaroos just hanging in. Third week in a row. Although, having said that, they did lead the Blues for much of that game in round 1. When the pressure was applied, they didn't budge. Free kick in the back. It's been pretty willing in there, hasn't it? It still continues to be as Pratt takes Hamill down. Archer in there as well. Free kicks coming back to Robert Harvey, the dual Brownlow medalist. The champion he's been for the Saints in game 303 this afternoon. 10 top 10 finishes in the best and fairest in his career. Just an amazing model of consistency. Goes short. Good effort from Shannon Watt. Got across the front of that lead from Fisher. And short it got to the line.
That's probably a bit of a win for St Kilda too, because the Kangaroo player, even though he's spoiled, Wayne, it's actually now gone out of bounds, so still only 30 metres from St Kilda's goal.
Fisher in the ruck against Petrie. Harvey read it off the pack. Has to bend it a long way. It's coming around, but there's always going to be a big contract from there. Minus score to Robert Harvey. The margin now 10 points. 10.5 gone third term. Daniel Wells with the kick in.
To himself. Gets an extra couple of yards. Heads in the direction of Petrie. Got up high. Might have spoiled his captain, Adam Simpson. Ferrito stays down. Off a step, Pachoni. High ball. Thompson to contest. Might have been unfairly taken out there. Aussie Jones. Brent Harvey. Always looking to do something one way, then the other. Centres the kick. It's a good kick too to the leading Michael Stevens. Well weighted, Gary. Didn't do the first thing, which you'd like to say sometimes you should do. Looked up, peripheral vision, and well spotted Michael Stevens on the lead into some space.
He had poise and balance, but the thing is, I feel Grant Thomas would be a bit dirty that actually Aussie Jones made it a 2-on-1. He should have stayed down with Brent Harvey, and we know how dangerous Brent is when he actually gets ball in space and he's got time to dispose of it, as we saw there.
Michael Stevens, career high 3 goals last week. This for his first. 40 metres out, slight angle. Does it come back enough? Yes, it does. The Kangaroos get their second of the third quarter.
5th goal for the season for Michael Stevens, equaling his entire season's tally last year. Added another dimension to his game as Clark comes off, replaced by Peckett.
It's the beauty of having space in your forward 50. We see there as Aussie Jones is actually back into the contest, which I don't believe he had to. Harvey's been smart enough to stay on ground. The ball's come down, and see the space that Michael Stevens has actually been able to work into, and that's very dangerous as a forward versus a defender who's been turned around.
It's a very clever kick from Harvey. It almost dictated to Michael Stevens where he had to run.
Well, Wayne spotted it. It was well weighted, and all you want the player to do is actually be able to run onto the ball.
Ackland tried to take possession from the ruck contest. Players with their heads over the football again. Hudson there, ferreting it out. Harvey and Ackland stripped of it by Jones. Pokes it forward. Here's Michael Stevens. Wants to step Jones. Links up with Harvey. Harvey from 55 turns it on. Around one. Goddard will run him down from the back. Gave it to Pachoni. Now Michael Stevens from 50. A little shimmy to give himself some space. To the top of the square. Rocker's got the set. And Penny was done and dusted a long way from home there. Rocker just had the sit. The kick was carrying the contest, and there's no way you're pushing back on 112 kilos of Severio Rocker to move him off his spot.
But once again, we talk about a kick that's well weighted or to the advantage of a forward. And Stav Rocker's got the experience and the strength to work Penny under the ball. It's gone over his head. Rocker takes a chest mark.
Just dug the heels in, stuck the butt out. There's no way Luke Penny was coming back.
It's a big butt. I should talk.
Here's Severio for goal number 2. Awkward looking kick. Disappointing result.
It's just that sort of game, Jace, where you just need that to be converted. and it just gives you such confidence, because that would have been 2 in a row for the Kangaroos if he had converted that shot.
So the lead goes begging. The Saints still have it. 3 points the margin. This game's building beautifully at the moment. Hope you're enjoying it as much as we are, wherever you might be watching right around Australia on Fox Footy. It's shaping as a fantastic finish. Jones to Del Sando, now to Hayes. Both sides playing some attractive football at times, really trying to attack. Fiora, Maguire, they've worked it well to the wing. Good effort from Ferrito. Great chase, Michael Ferrito. Great effort. And look at the result. Archer comes storming through, caught one high. Take a bow, Michael Ferrito. That was fantastic football.
Well, perhaps he got some inspiration from the man who's ended up with the ball in his hands anyway. Glenn Archer just put his body on the line, wanted the ball more so than any other St Kilda player. Spots Thompson outer side of the ground. Grimmer has worked works his way into some space. Got an unkind bounce, gets onto the left boot, managed to get the kick away. Sainsbury got his hands through, couldn't take the mark.
It was interesting then in that build-up there, Wayne, that Penny was more preoccupied with Sav Rocket, but because the kick actually landed in front of Grimmer, it would have been easier for Penny to actually take the bit between the teeth and run and actually pick the ball up.
8-5, trails 8-7. Jones heads out towards Harvey. That's a terrific kick. Moves it up to Hudson in the sunlight here at Telstra Dome. Goes over the top. Good link work there by Justin Peckett. Can have a bounce now. One way, then the other, straightens up, will go long, tumbles the kick inside 50. Petrie got his hands to it. Makepeace mops it up onto that trusty left foot boot, and that's a terrific kick. Finds Harvey.
Sainsbury
Can go now. Sainsbury all alone. He's 30 yards in the clear. Goes inside 50. This'll hurt. Opens up the angle. Eddie Sainsbury pushes it wide. That's a massive let-off, Gary, for the St Kilda side.
Well, it could have been a 2-goal turnaround per se, because the ball's been butchered up the other end by St Kilda, and then with their ability to intercept fast break footy, it's in the Kangaroos 50, and Eddie Sainsbury had a perfect opportunity to goal.
Tempo's lifting in this one. St Kilda's ball movement from the kick in the last couple of minutes has been excellent. It's just been let down by poor skills. In one case, Ferrito pressuring Maguire, and then Peckett going forward the last time. And again, they're going to go with the same philosophy. They take one short one down the line. He's got Schwartz there. You can see him just on the boundary line. Ferrito's a wake up to it this time, so the second option's gone. So they'll need to create plan B. Good presence of mind from the Roos to shut it down. They didn't get away with the same trick twice. Del Sando runs onto this contest though, and he has got some space to work in. Gehrig comes steaming up the middle of the ground. Here it goes towards the G train. Again, Brown got a hand in. Gehrig at the back gathers on the left boot, bends it back. Not enough. Good pressure. Out of bounds on the full. And they are scrapping desperately down back, the Kangaroos. They look to be out of position at times. Lee Brown and his associates. In that case, Daniel Pratt left his man. Got across, put some pressure on. Makepeace goes looking for Grant. Went to ground. Gives Thompson the advantage. He piles in over the top. Hayes can't get the hands free for an effective handball. Sinclair goes to ground. Gehrig with clean hands. Look out, Voss. Taken down again. Pressure. Umpire said the tackle lingered too long against Glenn Archer. Free kick, Brett Voss. Moves it quickly. Squares it up. Del Santo. One-on-one with Ferrito. Del Santo paddles to his own advantage. Gives it to Ball. Tries to get around Stevens. The tackle started fine. Slipped low. Free kick. Feeling
really
both sides. Yeah,
That's
you're
right.
about to say the same
Really
thing I'm going to say. They've
Yeah.
both got it up for grabs at the moment. They're both lifting, aren't they?
And there's just that pressure of just one little mistake, or perhaps a wrong decision, or a poor decision, or wrong execution in the skills that could just break this game open.
It's a tangible feeling in a game, isn't it? I'm sure Dean Laidley and Grant Thomas having exactly the same thoughts going through their mind as we are at the moment. They realise at certain points in a game, you just get passages of time where it could go either way. You need a bit of luck to go your way. You need some good, clean disposal. For example, here, if the Saints can get a goal through Gehrig, they suddenly kick away again. If not, kick in from a behind, could get whisked up the other end, and the Roos could have the lead. Momentum can change that quickly.
It can, and we're just seeing at the moment there's very much a real tug of war. And at the end of the day, you've seen the Kangaroos go inside and miss twice, so Fraser could make them pay.
Big kick from Gehrig. Falls short. It's still there for Hamill. That's the luck we were talking about. Hamill gets his third, one in each quarter. the frustration of a coach. Dean Laidley sees the ball come off the boot and goes, oh good, Fraser's muffed the kick. And then Hamill standing on the goal line to put it through.
Well, it was a mongrel kick, as we know, and it wasn't pretty, but all you have to do is put pressure on the goal face, and that's what they've done. But you see Sansbury running into an open goal, and he misses that, and that's what upsets a coach.
Luck of the draw that the ball could have come ricocheting off that pack in any direction. As it so happened, it went straight to Aaron Hamill. He converts, and again the Saints are managing to keep some distance between themselves and the Roos. The Roos unable to actually get the lead. There's only been about a goal in it for most of the day, but St Kilda have been on top since midway through the second term.
St Kilda by 7 points. Hale to Simpson. Tumbles the kick up forward. But Fiora there had some time and space. Recovered well. Heads out wide to the bandaged up Luke Ball, but that won't stay in. And with a throw in. Outer side of the ground. You just have that ability, St Kilda, Gary, to respond when the Kangaroos look as though they're genuinely mounting a challenge.
Well, I think I said before, Wayne, that there's only been one time in the game that I can recall where the Kangaroos got consecutive goals.
Correct, that's the only time. It was in the first quarter, midway through.
Simpson got it to Wells. Important kick here. Penny, did he get in the back of Rocker? Bounce favours the big full forward for the Kangaroos. But up to the task, Maxi Hudson. Paid deliberate.
We'll come back.
Well, could he think himself harshly done by? Because it's the bounce of the ball, I suppose, off the fist. Had have gone through for a point, rushed behind, no problems there, but that's been... That's a very harsh decision.
There's no doubt logically that you can't argue that it's deliberate, but the umpires or the rule makers have made a decision that in that situation, Max will be arguing, I was trying to hit it through for a point. It wasn't deliberately out of bounds, but the rule, the line in the sand, if you like to use a well-worn footy phrase in recent times, is that in that situation, it's bad luck.
I think he's guessed too, Jace. As Wayne quite rightly pointed out, if it goes through for a behind, is he going to say that's deliberate and give the Kangaroos player a kick? We saw last week that there was an interpretation of a decision that basically cost Fremantle the game. You don't want that to occur from an umpiring point of view.
Well, he doesn't mind a shot at goal from this side of, or this angle, Corey Jones. If you cast your mind back to last year's 250th game against the Kangaroos, kicked the goal from a similar position. Admittedly, it was at the SCG.
Just got to think his way through it here, doesn't he? The players are standing laterally very close.
Opens up the angle, got around the St Kilda player, and Corey Jones kicks a terrific goal.
That's very smart play. He's certainly taken his time. He's actually thought it through. I still feel Max Hudson's been pretty harshly dealt with on this occasion here, Jace, but he actually has been confronted by a St Kilda player who has, within his rights, been able to stand there. We see here that Max is basically trying to hit that ball through, as we know. And just because it's hit the point post, the umpire's paid a free kick.
I think the ruling on it is that the deliberate aspect of it isn't that he deliberately went for the boundary line, but he deliberately slapped it. And it just so turned out that the execution was poor and cost him a goal. Glenn Manton.
Just looking at the vision there of Max Hudson, he did have an opportunity to get both hands to the ball and handball it through. Would have alleviated the whole mess.
Good thinking. I'm sure Grant's thinking exactly the same thing. So again, the Roos hang in a point the difference. The game continues to build. 22 minutes gone, third term. Harris. The Roos now trying to get the lead for the first time since early in the second term. And they're a chance through Hale. Pokes it towards 50. Maguire goes back with the flight. Be confronted by Wells. Did well. He dished it off to Baker. Long to the wing. Schwartz and Colbert. Colbert back. Good mark.
We talk about it every week, but Lee Colbert has got fantastic courage, and he's certainly copped a few over the years, but that's just priceless to do what he's done there.
Looking for an option. Considers the short one. Decides to go with it. Here's Daniel Harris. Ninth touch for him coming up. It's been on the ground for 46 of the 82 minutes. Goes short to Hale. Schwartz off, Hayes on. Hale just holding it up. Again, numbers flooding back. Not one player behind the centre circle. Did well. Thought his way through it. Got it to Makepeace. Makepeace now confronted with the same dilemma. Here's the lead. Thompson. Well worked from the Roos. We've seen it in recent weeks. When confronted with congestion in their own forward 50, they're very, very good at doing one or two things. They hold the ball up, pick targets, pick holes in the opposition zone, or they move all their players to the near side, kick it long laterally to what's called the fat side of the ground and create space that way.
The other thing that they've been very good at doing, Jace, too, is there's a ability within the forward structure to be a team, so they work cohesively. So what I'm saying is that the player who's actually not going to be used as the short kick player, he takes his opponent away, and then that frees up some space for another forward to lead into.
Kick from Thompson is a beauty. And the Roos have the lead for the first time since the 12-minute mark of the second term. Nathan Thompson gets his second. And there's the consecutive goals we were talking about. St Kilda's been able to respond. Mirror image almost last week, or a carbon copy image of the game against the Swans. They hung in, and around about the same time last week they hit the front.
And what we do, Jason, is we applaud Nathan Thompson for his ability to drill this ball outside 50. But I tell you who should get the plaudits, and that's Lee Colbert for actually standing under a pack, being able to back into it with a lot of courage. He was the one that started that particular chain of events that got them a goal.
His reaction shows the importance of that goal for Nathan Thompson and his side, with the Kangaroos arresting the lead back. 5 points the margin. In towards three-quarter time. Touch over 6 minutes remaining. Hale starting to get his hands on the ball now. Around the stoppages, Hayes went without it. Sinclair towards half forward. Peckett attacked the ball, got an unkind bounce. Hale, they've got the numbers here, the Kangaroos. Simpson, terrific tackle. Del Santo should have been rewarded with a free kick, but we'll have a bounce when Nick pleads his case with Corrin Rowe.
What's the difference there, mate?
Well, it deserved the free kick. Prior opportunity, yes, didn't dispossess the ball correctly.
The Roos are circling up. They are a very fit combination.
It's interesting that St Kilda keep having a player who's free coming off the defensive edge of the square. The Kangaroos are having their free player come off the wing area at centre bounces.
Well, Sinclair hacks it out of the air to the right side of the post. Was that deliberate? We'll have a throw in up against the right behind post. Camped deep inside the forward 50 for the Kangaroos. They clear out. If you notice, all the Kangaroos players starting defensive side of this throw in. Out of the ruck for Rito. That's holding the ball. Yes, Corrin, you've got that one right. Good decision.
Now, was Michael Ferrito the ruckman in that situation? If he wasn't, then that's surely not deliberate.
No, the rule is if you grab it out of the ruck, irrespective of your position, you're caught holding the ball, that's the correct decision.
If it's anticipated, I think. Here was a chance for Clark. Good turn of speed from the youngster, and twinkle toes to get around Hale. What it was. He just comes streaming through the middle of the ground. No one coming at him. Raph Clark inside 50. One-on-one for Gehrig and Brown. Gehrig not quite. Turned and stopped. Brown kept going and won the football. Fraser Gehrig getting frustrated. Diving effort from Harris was a good one.
Fraser's just got to be a little bit careful that he doesn't, that poor body language at times.
It's bubbling over at the moment, isn't it? Down the line. Shannon Watt. Pratt calls for it inboard. Kick hangs a while in the air, but it gets there. And now they'll switch laterally. All the way across to Brown. Fraser Gehrig's 30 metres off his man. Makepeace. Spears towards 50. Awkward one at Rocker's knees. Goddard went to ground under some pressure. Flips it back to Del Santo with poise. Awkward handball. Look out ball. Sinclair put body on body. Full credit to Luke Ball. Went hard again at ground level. Didn't shirk the issue. We'll have a bounce.
Here's that replay of Fraser Gehrig. You're talking about it, Gary. He's not far away, but you've just got to make sure you stay in the contest. Yes, might have thought it. Hang on, was a free kick there. Forget the free kick. It'll happen, and they'll pay it if it's deemed.
Spot on.
Del Santo again trying to lift the side for the Saints. Goddard paddled it towards Ball. Now a chance. Colbert's got the choice. Does he peel off or go to him? He had to go to him. Ball held it up, and that was the result. Fiora, 25 out, stands and delivers, and kicks a goal. He's got his second. Vital goal, that one for St Kilda, because the Roos had the momentum. That keeps the Saints in touch. In fact, they're back in front by a point. Awkward situation for Lee Colbert. Had one of two choices here. They had to go at Ball or stay with Fiora. Ball was smart enough to realise once Colbert committed, he'd kick it to his man.
Look, it's just great peripheral vision here too. He's caught, obviously, Fiora out the corner of his eye, but you go back to that initial contest, Ball put his body on the line, held it up, a stoppage was formed, and then he's shown another piece of probably what we call leadership to be able to brush the tackler, run and carry, and then that was Luke Ball's goal.
Trying conditions at best Even more so with tape wrapped around your nose. Luke Ball, inspirational player. Back in the middle. Corey Jones attacks the ball hard. Shannon Grant thrown out of the pack. Coming away with the ball. High ball, Lenny Hayes. Got a problem with his left shoulder. That's a good, strong mark. On this occasion, Daniel Pratt.
He looks tired, Wayne, Lenny Hayes.
Simpson's broken. He's got plenty of time. He's got support from Grimmer. Hale goes long. If he gets it there quickly, he'll find the ruckman pushing forward. A little bit too much on the carry. Doesn't worry about grabbing the ball. Centres the ball beautifully. Maguire still not out of the danger zone for the Saints. Rocker sockers the ball off the ground in the path of Brent Harvey. Didn't quite have the finishing skills there for a terrific build-up.
Once again, Wayne, though, we see something being made out of nothing there. The big fella, he couldn't get to the ball. He's throwing his boot out. It's gone up in the air. The oval-shaped ball is going to bounce everywhere. Maguire's felt the pressure, and really Brent Harvey was lucky he didn't score a goal.
Scores level. Just over 2 minutes remaining till three-quarter time. Jones to Thompson, and now to Del Santo, who's been prominent. Maguire works hard, grits his teeth. Gut-busting run to create. Paccioni's on his hammer. Maguire on the left to Gehrig. Great play from Matt Maguire. It was hard running in these conditions in the heat. As I mentioned, it was a gut-busting run. Kept at it, created, and that time it was Lee Brown who dropped off the lead.
Well, again, it's very difficult when you're sitting at home to actually view what Matt Maguire did, but he basically started in St Kilda's defensive 50 and he's ran the full length of the ground. The kick once again was well weighted out in front. He's ran onto the ball and a nice little chip left foot kick to Fraser Gehrig. And we see here Maguire's absolutely stuffed and Fisher's come on the ground.
Gehrig for his third. He's kicked one from out here already today. That one's just drifting across. I think he snuck it in. He has. It's been a frustrating day for Fraser Gehrig, but he's got 3 goals on the board and has taken his chances when presented with them. There's Matt Maguire, full credit to him. It was a fantastic team performance. And what we are seeing here today is really some great team football from both sides. We're seeing both teams be rewarded. You look at Lee Colbert's mark that resulted in a goal down the ground. Luke Ball earlier, then Matt Maguire. Certainly the goal goes in the book to Fraser Gehrig, but we're just seeing the full importance of teamwork all over the ground.
That's why we come to this game and we watch the players do what they are doing so far. And you took the words right out of my mouth, Jace. There's been some inspiring pieces of play which have resulted in team goals.
4 goals apiece in that second quarter. We've got the same again in the third quarter as we approach three-quarter time. Ackland with the tap out in the direction of Ball. Sinclair with the tackle, plays allowed to go on. Hayes, Ball inside 50 from 45 metres. Will it make the distance? No, Lee Brown sees to that. Did well, has support from Pratt. Handballs over the top to Colbert. Kangaroos, one more roll of the dice. Over the top to Stevens, to Pratt. They've opened him up now. Just needs to go long, you'd think. Oh, kick smothered. Swartz intended for Thompson to Fiora. Gives it off to Hamill. Squeezes the kick towards Milne. Makepeace arrived late. Stephen Milne in the midst of three-quarter time. Got it!
Big play. Huge play. The smother on the outer wing, again we see it. The 1%ers, the sacrifices, and St Kilda in the last 5 or 6 minutes have responded from losing the lead for the first time since midway through the second term. They've come out and responded with 3 goals. Suddenly they lead by a couple right on the verge of three-quarter time.
Well, what they're doing is they're exerting so much more pressure back on the Kangaroos, and this is a fantastic game, but they have been able to persevere, and you see there, if you don't give up and you make the play, something is created. And Hamill had the presence of mind once again to square the ball back up, and Milne, as we know, is very dangerous. Kicked a great goal.
What a game for the purists this one's turning out to be. If you love your footy, tough and hard, lots of teamwork and sacrifice, that's what this game's all about this afternoon. It is an absolute belter. Thoroughly enjoying it. Lance Paccioni, good tackle applied by Thompson. St Kilda irresistible in the last 5 minutes. Schwartz, handball under pressure, missed the target. Colbert commits his body, comes crashing through. Grimmer in there for the Kangaroos. Hamill working hard at ground level. Great effort and endeavour from both sides once again. We'll have a bounce.
Schwartz was perhaps going down in that tackle there, but there's nothing wrong with actually just getting the ball onto your boot quickly sometimes and just driving it forward.
Umpire hasn't called time off. One last chance for the Saints. They can get a quick kick and a mark from this stoppage. The Roos just need to hold here. There won't be time. Del Santo got possession. Archer came in, put body on body right on three-quarter time. Del Santo felt that one. What a great game of football we've got here at the Telstra Dome. And at three-quarter time, St Kilda responding magnificently to the challenge of the Kangaroos. And they will go to the final change with a handy 12-point lead. St Kilda 12-7-79. The Kangaroos 10-7-67. In that quarter, the Saints adding 5 goals to. The Kangaroos adding 4 goals for. Belter of a contest.
Look, it's been a fantastic game in what we know is very, very trying conditions, and the Kangaroos actually played in these last week versus St Kilda and Fremantle, who played in the wet conditions last week.
Well, Luke Ball had some work done in that third quarter. Jess Sinclair tackle. Glenn Archer, does he not mind throwing his weight around? Just ask Nick Del Santo.
Why
there
not?
you go, son, as we go to three-quarter time, and there's a mouthful coming after that as well.
Three-quarter time at the Dome. It's the Saints by 12 points. $12 points a margin here at the Dome. St Kilda challenged by the Roos in that third term. They hit the front midway through the quarter. St Kilda bounced back and kicked the last 3 goals to lead it by 12 points as we head to the final term.
I think we also see here today, Jace, why Grant Thomas was so sure in his mind that Luke Ball would be able to fill in as captain after Nick Rewalt got injured, because he's just done some inspiring acts just before three-quarter time. So the thing that we're seeing here is St Kilda being able to do what the Kangaroos did last week to Sydney, to score some vital goals late in quarters.
These two sides have been fantastic for 3 quarters. They've thrown everything they've got at each other. And this could be a last man standing affair. 33 degrees in Melbourne. Who's got the run in their legs? Who wants it more? Final term. St Kilda and the Kangaroos. Petrie against Ackland. Ackland got the tap. Harris came storming through. Caught one high from Ball. Advantage paid. Here's Daniel Wells. Grant works hard, provides an option and takes the mark 80 metres from goal. It's going to come back, all the way back to the centre, in fact, and Drew Petrie. Some time for St Kilda to set up defensively. The leads come. Thompson comes straight up the middle. Petrie goes in that direction. Beautifully timed lead. Kick just wide. Del Santo to tidy up for the Saints. Hudgton. Goddard. Ackland. Pressure football at the moment. Del Santo to Maguire. Looks and goes long. Fisher presents himself. Watt will arrive late. Did enough to get it to ground where he's got some numbers in support. Watt steps inside Clark. Gets boot to ball. Harris will mark on centre wing. Can go inboard. Pachoni's wanting it. Can go further afield and does to Wells. It opens up down the opposite side of the ground now. Wells steps inside, goes for a run, turns on the jets. Daniel Wells, 2 bounces, goes to 50, runs to 40. Wells for some magic, just misses. Scintillating run from Daniel Wells, couldn't quite convert. The margin 11 points.
It's probably the first time in the game today, actually, Jason has been free, and he's been able to get the ball inside the midfield, i.e. corridor, and being able to run and take them on. And that's why we like to come to the footy and watch players like Daniel Wells, because they have got genuine speed, and he's a bit unlucky he didn't score a goal.
Just cruises across the ground. Andrew McLeod, he's almost like a human hovercraft, just about 6 inches off the turf.
An important commodity that he might possess, and that's speed late in a game like this. Maguire. Long up towards Fisher. Got pushed underneath the ball by Watt. Read that better. Centres the ball now. Sinclair. They've done throughout the course of this match, the Kangaroos. They've started extremely well at the beginning of each quarter. Michael Stevens chips the ball up in the direction of Thompson. He'll have to sit and wait. Got his hands to it. Couldn't take the mark. Peckett to Del Santo. Grant in pursuit. Finds Voss. Wing position.
Fisher.
Chip it over the top. Ackland has pushed forward, but that's a poor kick. Lets himself down and his teammates, Brett Voss. He knows that. We'll have a throw in. 70 metres from goal.
It's just a lazy kick, but you'd also like Sam Fisher on the other side there, Wayne, just to be a bit stronger in that contest that you called with Shannon Watt. He really was pushed out of that marking contest far too easy.
Petrie and Ackland. Ackland with strength. But the hand of the ball was intended for Milne. Harris to Sinclair. Brent Harvey, terrific pickup. Goes backwards. Harris starting to get busy now. Sinclair had to wait. Has Makepeace in support. Wanted the left boot, had to go with the right. Pachoni will fly here, as does Maguire. Pachoni, hands and knees, got the handball out to Wells. Over the top to Brent Harvey, who pushed from that earlier contest. Harvey, 30 metres, slight angle, good start for the fourth. Porte's got it. Brent Harvey kicks his second. The Kangaroos get the first of the fourth quarter.
We talk about players who can have the presence of mind. Daniel Wells received this handball here, but even though he was able to be slung in the tackle, he still had the presence of mind to give the handball to Brent Harvey. And Brent Harvey, we know, is so dangerous once he gets inside his forward 50.
You saw in the replay there, Wells' eyes just flicked up for a split second. He saw Harvey there, went to the voice, and the handball, Harvey didn't have to break stride. Vital goal for the Roos. Again, it gets them back within that 1-goal margin. It had to go on the other way. St Kilda could have just broken the shackles, but it's 5 points the margin, 4 minutes gone, final term. What a game. Petrie, Ackland got the tap. Del Santo's been important. Ball, handball missed the target. Grimmer put some body pressure on. Piling it over the top was Corey Jones. Free kick in the back.
Interesting that Grant Thomas has got Harvey off the ground at this particular point in time.
So Jones. Waits for an option, decides to go short to Grimmer. Petrie works hard inside 50. We go towards the top of the square, some tall timber. Rocker and Thompson off the hands of Ackland. Grant at the front, couldn't quite get clean possession. Was taken down, play on the call. Big Sav, handball to Harris. Left foot snap from Harris, bends back. Another poster. So now the Roos responding. They realise they had to come out and get on the front foot. And they've done exactly that. 36,140 in at the Dome. Good crowd. Ripping game of football, Glenn Manton.
Robert Harvey's sitting on the bench with his right leg heavily bandaged. Whether it's cork, quad or calf related, coming up through his hamstring, I'm not sure.
Hayes went for Maguire. Jones did well, kept his eyes on the ball. Maguire, toe pokes it to his own advantage. Stevens runs him down. Forced an error. Handball missed Fiora. Spun into trouble. Pachoni put pressure on. Here's Wells again. That game-breaking speed, that explosive 5 steps to get out of trouble. To Petrie. Looks up. Sees a wall of St Kilda players, so he'll hang on to the football.
Grant wants it long. That's been ignored.
One move, Wayne, that perhaps Grant Thomas could look at is actually push Hamill out across half forward and Sam Fisher back to the goal square. So I think they're just breaking down there a little bit at the start of this last quarter.
Been an angry man, Corey Jones, today, hasn't he? He's been in everything.
Well, there's a few out there. Another one just coming off for the Kangaroos, Lance Pachoni. Daniel Wells, you've mentioned him just a moment ago, Jason. He's starting to have some telling possessions, and when he's getting it, he's wanting to get himself into some space and use his pace. Corey Jones. Well, it might have been intended for Shannon Grant, but they'll take that though, Gary. It's an opportunity. They set up again. They're deep inside their forward 50.
Well, it's a 50-50 ball, but they've actually advanced the ball some probably 55 metres, and they're only about 40 metres from their goal now.
Troy Schwartz with the job on Daniel Wells as we speak.
Rocker. Luke Ball clears the congestion towards Hamill. Put up the one hand, couldn't take the mark. Colbert gets the shepherd from his partner in crime, Archer, to Petrie. Off a step, lets himself down, skews it off the side of the boot, and Del Santo wins a free kick.
St Kilda to set up backward of the wing. They lead by 4 points. They've led for most of the afternoon. The Roos have had the lead on 3 separate occasions.
Just needed to be a controlled kick there by Drew Petrie.
Del Santo pokes it down the line. Finds Raf Clark.
It's hard to kick off one step, Wayne.
The Roos have been in front for just 19 minutes in this game. Gehrig's got it at 45. Right up against the line. Tough kick. But we've seen him kick the hard ones this afternoon. You wouldn't put this one past him. Wastes no time. Starts at left. Bends it across the face of goal and just misses. 3 goals, 2 to Fraser Gehrig. A margin now 5 points. We've played almost 8 minutes in the final term. Makepeace again to kick it in. See what's in front of him. Plenty of numbers from both sides pushing up. Heavy zone from the Saints. So Makepeace decides to go long to a contest. He's kicked it straight to Ackland. Didn't mark it and should have. That allowed Corey Jones to take it off his hands, tumble towards half forward. Before you know it, it's inside 50 for the Roos, but only momentarily. Nathan Thompson with a low percentage play.
See, as a coach, you're looking at reasons why things occur all the time. And one thing I thought that Kane Ackland did last week was get his hands on plenty of the ball. I know the conditions were wet, but he just didn't take any clean marks. And once again, he's got that ability to take a mark there under no real pressure and fumbled the ball.
Ferrito and Petrie flew. The ball comes out to Aussie Jones. Michael Stevens with a good chase. Kick towards the front of the goal square. Hamill doing the crumbing. One way, then the other, quickly around the corner. But the kick favoured Brown, couldn't clear the congestion. And Fraser Garrick gets his fourth of the afternoon.
Extremely clever kick here by Aaron Hamill, but once again, the run that Aussie Jones gave the St Kilda boys out of defence and then the ability to keep running caused that goal there. And Fraser, it was a bit sort of all or nothing here, as we see again. Once actually, young Milne did very well there to keep the ball to the front.
He was taken by surprise here, Lee Brown. He actually could have marked that ball, couldn't he? But just wasn't expecting it. In a split second decided, better punch because I don't know where Garrick is.
And it's difficult too because they've been playing at such a high intensity. You tend to get a bit tired and you've got to be able to really lock your concentration in now. But we also look down at the goal square and Fraser Garrick's really doing a lot of stretching, so he might be feeling the pinch as well now.
So here's a challenge for the Kangaroos. They've met all challenges before them in 2005. Now they trail by 11 points. St Kilda with a mini break and the momentum. Del Santo to Hamill. Past that contest, the dangerous Milne at the back. Can he gather? Under pressure from Makepeace, happy to take it to the line. And then the belated handball back inside to a teammate, just to make sure you avoid the deliberate.
They're just so dangerous when they win the ball out of the centre square, St Kilda. You've got wonderful players in there, Hayes, Ball, Del Santo, and really they do look quite dangerous once they win the ball out of that stoppage.
The Roos have got a hold here. St Kilda really turning up the blowtorch. Petrie over the top, reached in. Del Santo, Milne again, limited space to work in. Keeps it alive, no he doesn't. It's going to come back, it's out of bounds. St Kilda fans won't like it.
Troy Makepeace has got to make sure that on a dangerous live wire forward, forget about getting the ball, you're behind, you've just got to shut him down in the forward 50.
You use him as your starting point, don't you?
No, that angle we had there is different to the one the boundary umpire had, but looking at that, that ball looked in. Throw in. Petrie, Hamill, Watt, Milne again. Dangerous at the back, as Wayne Schwass mentioned. Simpson in over the top of it. They pile in. Ball up.
Look, I realise that Troy Makepeace is a lot easier from up here, but when the balls bounce, you can't then fall into the trap of watching the ball. You've got to watch your opponent like a Stephen Milne.
And there is Milne. You see him front and centre on your screen. Makepeace is at his shoulder right now. Petrie the tap. Chance for Del Santo. He's been dangerous since half-time. Screws it back to the hot spot. There's Milne again by himself. And he wants to play on. This is the unpredictability. A brain snap from Stephen Milne. We saw one from Fraser early in the day. There's one from Stephen Milne. Grant Thomas would be tearing his hair out. He's 20 metres out directly in front.
And if I was Troy Makepeace, I'd say thank you.
At least Troy was with him on that particular occasion, Wayne, and Milne just had the better body position. But what you talk about players making the game hard, there's just no need for that, as you said. It's just about composure.
That's 2 goals they've butchered today, the Saints. Will it come back to hurt them? That was a goal that really could have slammed the door shut on the fingers of the Kangaroos, and it could go the other way. Corey Jones will now pump it inside 50. The football gods could be smiling on the Roos. They come back to punish it, don't they? They come back to punish you. You make a mistake like that, and how often do we see the opposition team go down the other end and convert?
Well, we've seen here there's actually 2 mistakes, Jace, because we spoke about Stevie Milne, what he did, but then St Kilda's been good enough to win the ball back again, and because Maxie Hudson really is trying to do too cute a kick by coming back inboard, and of course it's been intercepted, and look, it is a weight of numbers that we talk about in this game, or percentages, and of course once the ball's been won by the Kangaroos, they've gone long and strong, and again, a weighted advantage kick to Sav Rocca.
The ball's in good hands. Saverio Rocca's kicked 692 goals in his career, which places him 18th on the all-time list. This to keep the Roos alive and in touch once again. On its way, just bending the wrong side of the post. Minus score. 1-2 to Big Sav. And the margin 11 points as Grant Thomas just shuffles in his chair. In fact, it's 10 points now. Just regains his composure, takes a deep breath, and we're away again.
Peckett will bring it in. It's a good kick, finds Penny. Rito ties him up as Del Santo goes to cruise by. Harvey stops his run. Never looks as though he's flustered or under too much pressure, Nick Del Santo, and that's a lovely possession and disposal as well. They go out wide towards Peckett. Found himself into some space now. Heads down the line. Hamill has worked his way away from Archer. Archer slips at the crucial moment. Garrick's in the goal square. Needs to be quick. Brown did well again.
Frida Hamill got one across the shoulder.
Well, a little bit fortuitous there. Perhaps Aaron Hamill. I'm sure the free kick was there, but Glenn Archer was away. Long side of the ground for a right footer. He's got Brooks if he's quick. Still there, Brooks.
With that transition to play too, Wayne, it was Frankie Peckett who actually kicked the ball in from full back, and he's been able to run hard enough to get it on the wing. I think he's been very good for St Kilda since he came on early in the game.
Incidental contact. Lee Brown, but it was there. Correct decision. Here's a goal in the first 3 quarters. Aaron Hamill. Tight angle. This for his 4th. Across the face of goal. Out of bounds on the full. And for the moment, the Kangaroos will relieve.
Almost halfway through this final term. 11 points, 10 points rather the margin. Brown, high ball to the 50. No one wants it. Ball goes up. Ferrito over the top. Del Santo again, so influential. From 55, goes to Clark. Got it on the second grab. Raf Clark, chance to go back and kick his first goal in league football. And a big goal in the context of this game it would be as well, as Ferrito comes off to be replaced by Harris. Pressure on the youngster.
And Grant Thomas has also shown, I think, great confidence in young Brooks because he's interchanged Ackland. So he's given Brooks a bit of responsibility here in what we know is a very, very tight game.
40 metres out, 45-degree angle. Raf Clark, St Kilda's #1 draft pick back in 2003. Made his debut round 17 last season against the Bombers. Game number 2 this afternoon. Chance to kick the biggest goal of his life so far. Starts left and misses. 2 behinds to Raf Clark. The margin now 11 points. The Kangaroos still hovering.
Sinclair to himself. Got a shepherd from Lee Brown. Heads straight up the middle. The quickest way home. Hale got a nice little discreet shepherd from Simpson. They go deep inside forward 50. Good transition of the ball, the Kangaroos. Jones couldn't take the mark. Thompson with the big tackle over the top. And we'll have a bounce. 35 metres from goal. Attacking in for the Kangaroos. They desperately need a goal. They're down by 11 points. 13-9 leads 11-10. Terrific game of football this afternoon. Brooks. Del Santo. He is everywhere, Nick Del Santo. Couldn't escape the clutches of David Hale, and we'll have a secondary bounce.
He had 9 touches in the first half, Del Santo. He's had 16 since half-time.
He's all class, Nick Del Santo. Congested forward line. Simpson towards Pratt. Del Santo, another possession. The Kangaroos with the numbers. Watt, needed to find a target because he had Sinclair clear. Fiora towards Raf Clark, bouncing ball. Archer coming late. Could have infringed. Makepeace clears up for the moment. Towards the near side of the ground. Sinclair over around the ball and we'll have a throw in. Wing position, near side of the ground.
The importance too, Wayne, of just keeping your feet and just maybe going at the ball just a little bit harder from Raf Clark. That's something that I think just needs to be pointed out by the coaching staff for next week.
There's been so many great one-on-one battles this afternoon, and that's what has been lost in the flood from the early couple of weeks of the season. But today we've seen a lot of guys one-on-one having to take on their opponent. It's been great to watch. Ball into the path of Hudson. Coming in the other direction was Jones. They collide. He got it on. Here's Voss running him down. Is Harvey. Great tackle. Still alive for Peckett. Back to Voss. Under pressure. The Roos hanging on with everything they've got. Peckett now. He's got men with their arms wide looking everywhere for him. Hayes. Composure to Peckett. Inside 50 to Milne. They did it well, the Saints. They didn't panic. Now, Stephen Milne, you'd bet London to a brick that he'll go back and have a shot this time.
Well, you want him to make up for his indiscretion before, and you just see the amount of coverage that these players are actually having to do at the moment. Like Harvey's run down of Voss. Voss still had the presence of mind, though, to stay relatively calm and cool, and St Kilda's now having a shot on goal.
Milne's kicked 2 goals, 1.
He might actually run into the man of the mark and then try and balk him, do you think, Joe?
Never, he's done it many times before, but surely he doesn't have the liberty of taking that on with Grant Thomas. Milne, 45 out. He rides it. He loves it. He's got it. 3 goals to Stephen Milne. Will that be the backbreaker? Margin out to 17 points. It's the biggest margin of the game. The Kangaroos never give in. They've got a big mountain to climb now.
You talk about the God smiling, and of course we saw what Stephen Milne did before, and there's just been a little bit of an arm wrestle, and hence the reason why he then, I'm sure, would have realised, go back, let's have a shot on goal, and of course he's got a bit of a payback here for the St Kilda Football Club.
Made amends for that earlier indiscretion, early stages of the 4th quarter. He's 3 goals, 1 this afternoon, equals his previous best against the Kangaroos coming in round 5 last year. Important goal for the Saints. The margin out 16 points at the moment. Colbert put his body on the line, outnumbered 3-1 there. Luke Ball ties him up. We'll have another bounce.
That's the other interesting thing too today, Wayne. I believe that both Archer and Colbert haven't been able to play off or zone off their opponents, and then obviously hence it's been easier for St Kilda to generally get the ball into that one-on-one situation with their forwards.
On cue, Glenn Archer gets onto a torpedo, drives it long inside 50. Thompson couldn't take the chest mark. Shannon Grant, nice ball, good response. The Kangaroos get one back quickly. They're still alive.
You would seem to say that Dean's going with that move that he made last week, where he had Shannon Grant predominantly, as we watch Fiora come off for Ackland here, predominantly play forward. But again, smart players getting the right positions. You'd still like to see, though, I think Nathan Thompson actually take that mark. He had front position. Really, it was probably a relatively simple chest mark, but again, they've still got a goal, so it hasn't hurt them, and Shannon Grant's done a great job.
Ackland's come on, gone straight to the goal square to take Lee Colbert and make him accountable. And the margin back to 11 points. Still plenty of time. We've just ticked over 20.5 minutes. Simpson will be run down by Thompson. We've got boot to ball. Tumbles to 50. Peckett attacked it. Harvey slipped the tackle. Handball. Stevens. Awkward bounce for Wells. With poise. Gathers himself. Screws it back. What a great goal! You can never write the Kangaroos off. Back to 5 points. Just when the St Kilda guys might have been thinking 17 points, have we got them? Well, with these Kangaroos, you've never got them.
We know that they can scrap and they can fight, and again, this is their sort of game, because they're really never out of the game because of the way they play, and they do 2 things, and that is that their fitness is obviously very good, but they also follow the coach's instructions to the letter.
It's been a game worthy of a blockbuster finish all afternoon, and it still continues to build.
Absolutely, you love nothing more than a game going down the wire. It wasn't pretty football, but I guess the message there is all's wells that ends wells. 5 points the margin.
Blood
as
rule.
Luke Ball is instructed to make his way to the boundary line.
Come off to replace his nose.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Ackland goes back into the middle to contest this ruck tap as well.
But you're right, it's been an enthralling struggle all afternoon. When you think St Kilda have got the game broken open, the Kangaroos have responded. So you expect nothing less, really, from the boys from Arden Street.
But it's, again, last week they had Shannon Grant, who was the game breaker in that last quarter, and at this point in time Daniel Wells has done some terrific things, and he's already scored 2 goals.
Important centre bounce. Just under 6.5 minutes remaining, 4th quarter. Simpson couldn't get a boot on ball. Jones, Del Santo, good vision, good awareness, managed to get a boot to ball. Hayes, it's a foot race. Jones and Simpson, look out, big clash of bodies. Rocker left it for Sinclair. Thompson got it to Hayes, the Saints.
Schwartz.
Now goes wide. Wells, will he get back quickly enough? Did well, Daniel Wells. But Schwartz stayed on his feet. Harris, important tackle. Hamill, Harris, Not out of danger yet, the Kangaroos. They stood up well there, though. Hale, oh, sat on his backside by Hamill. Sinclair gets the handball out. Ferrito's broken. He's got some time. Big kick this. Grant, was he held?
Free kick.
Yes. Experience. Terrific kick by Ferrito. Whilst he didn't take the mark, it was well weighted.
It was, but again, as I said before, coaches look for reasons why things happen, and you've got to question, one, Lenny Hayes. I thought Brooks was able to be on the end of that particular kick that was going to be changed the direction back in the middle. And then you had Aaron Hamill with, again, Brooks on his own, and he's decided not to give him the handball, and then he decided to give it to a guy who was actually under the pump. And now we see the ball's been transferred into the Kangaroos forward 50, and Shannon Grant's a smart player, as we know. And he's having a shot on goal. Could be second within a matter of a few minutes.
Well, he kicked 3 fourth-quarter goals last week to win the game for the Kangaroos against Sydney. He's kicked bags of 3 on 18 separate occasions. Shannon Grant, this for his third. Got it. Shannon Grant has kicked his third, and importantly, the Kangaroos lead by a point.
St Kilda led by 17 points at the 18.5-minute mark. 3 goals in 5.5 minutes. And it's the Roos by a point. 24 minutes gone, final term.
And this game's all about pressure, and we're seeing now that some players are not taking the right option or making the right decision. Look, that was a bit stiff on Baker. He knew he was going to be pushed under the ball, so he's grabbed onto the jumper. The third umpire's right there, so he's played a relatively soft and easy free kick, but you just can't take anything away from the Kangaroos to be able to hang in the games, as we've mentioned a few times in the commentary.
Luke Ball's back into the contest. This is a Fox Footy classic. The Roos by a point. We approach the 25-minute mark of the last term. Hale goes up, wins the tap. Just over 5 minutes remaining. Ball straight back into the action. Can the Saints respond now? Ferrito charging forward. Awkward kick off the boot. It'll work for them. Grant! The game breaker once again. Will settle things down. Tight angle for Shannon Grant.
As a coach, Gary, is that what you'd like to see him do? Go back and have a shot?
He's experienced enough one, he's played enough footy. The other thing is he's on the right side for a left footer as well, and you trust him with the way he's been able to play over these last few weeks. He's in very, very good form, so you wouldn't be surprised to see him slot this one.
Huge kick. If the Roos can get 7 points in front, test St Kilda's mettle and willpower. Shannon Grant is booted 3. He's booted 4. Shannon Grant is the Iceman. Coming through under pressure. Time and again for the Kangaroos. Wonderful kick. 3 goals in the final term for Grant. We said it before the game. We said it at half-time. He's the one to watch. He's the spark for this Kangaroos side. And the Roos have booted 4 goals after trailing by 17 points. Have booted 4 goals in 7.5 minutes to now be in the box seat with a 7-point lead.
They've also won some very crucial clearances out of the middle in the last couple of minutes as well. But I think also too, it's probably the fringe players at the Kangaroos that have made some really good contributions. Ferrito, Harris still probably really, you doubt whether he's cemented his spot himself in this particular team at the moment. I think they're just actually running on really hard at the moment, the Kangaroos.
5 goals to 2 in this fourth quarter. The Kangaroos has them 7 points in front. Holding the ball, raked it back in. Free kick going St Kilda's way to Luke Ball. Doesn't waste any time. There's a player, Fiora, off a step towards Gehrig. Brown closes. Mill dangerous in this position. Sinclair goes to Archer, the veteran. Heads out to his other counterpart in the defence for the Kangaroos, and that's Lee Colbert. Will head down the line. Harvey breaks. Shannon Grant's there as well. But both players happy to see the ball over the line for a boundary throw-in.
They've made the move, Hudson onto Grant.
Just over 3.5 minutes remaining of this enthralling battle. Another goal you would think might sound the end of St Kilda's afternoon. But a lot can happen in such a short time. Plenty of numbers around the ball. Rocker and Ackland. Ackland got his hands to the ball. Luke Ball on his hands and knees. Got it to Goddard. Harris, so good around the clearances. Jones spent it before he had it. Got away from the Goddard tackle. Rocker's kick smothered. Peckett, the Saints might be away. Harvey makes sure he does it. Drives him backwards, rugby-like, and we'll have a throw-in.
Saints need some individual brilliance, someone to run the lines, tuck it under the arm, just do something to break this up.
They've also, Jace, left Grant one out with Hudson now. He's got all that area in that forward 50 to work in.
Here's a chance, Peckett just unaware of Stevens closing. Ball, been a leader all afternoon. Raf Clark in front against Watt. The youngster couldn't quite hang on. Fiora wants to get back onto the left. He's got some time, it was a bad option. Coming through was Hale. Good effort from Thompson to stand tall. Ferrito, handball in hope. Goddard tries to track it back. He's crunched. It's still there for Hayes. They dive in on top of it. Simpson working hard. Here's Wells, taken down by Clark. Deliberate, yes! Free kick, St Kilda. The Saints rallying. Was Fiora off? He was, but the umpire hadn't called play on. How's he going to rule it? Sensible umpiring. Go back and take your kick. Now Fiora plays on. Raking left footer inside 50. Gehrig wrestling with Brown. He's done well today, Lee Brown. A big contest, that one. Over the top to Sinclair. The Roos might be happy to start running down the clock, you'd expect. Corey Jones, St Kilda have to man up immediately. This is all chewing up time. Who's on Sinclair laterally? The answer's no one.
We got Fiora in the middle.
We've got Lee Brown standing by himself at the top of the defensive goal square. He goes shorter than that to Hale. Brown will now peel off to the far side. Jones, Gehrig,
50.
Brain snap. Frustration from Fraser.
I think that's a game now, Jace.
He's fuming, Fraser Gehrig. He's had one of those afternoons. Saying, look at the scoreboard. He took off. But until it's called, you can't go. The clock stops with 1:44 on it. The Saints need a turnover. They've got a man up. They have. It's one-on-ones all over the ground.
The mismatch you've got, though, is Ackland's now taking Makepeace. Although they've swapped over now, Peckett's got Makepeace.
So Hale has to kick to a contest. St Kilda need a turnover. Rocker goes for the big grab, couldn't quite hang on. Jones is happy to take it to the line and does. We'll have a throw in.
Disguised that extremely well there, Corey Jones. Through the legs, tunnel ball.
Feeling of helplessness now for Grant Thomas. Not much more he can do.
Saints, to have any chance, they've got to clear the ball here quickly, get it inside 50. For the Kangaroos, they'll be happy to slow it down. Del Santo couldn't get around the Harvey tackle. Pachoni, Brent Harvey, educated kick. Hugs the boundary line and winds down the clock. 1:13 remaining. Outstanding game of football. Kangaroos in front by 7 points.
There's the Kangaroo box. Dean Laidley still barking instructions. St Kilda need a clearance. They need to go end to end. Kick a goal and then roll the dice in the centre. Free kick. It's going the way of the Roos. That's going to hurt. Holding in the ruck contest. It's going to Corey Jones.
He's been important in this last quarter, Corey Jones.
He's been in the game all afternoon, hasn't he? 17 possessions, 7 inside 50s. He's been physical. He's been aggressive. Taking his time. Clock stopped, so it's not going to affect the duration of the game. Six touches in the last quarter for Corey Jones. He stepped up when they needed him. Dos Santos had 11 for the Saints. Clock starts again, ticks down to a minute. Decides to go short to the pocket. Rocker. Percentage kick, really, because he had no concern whatsoever whether Sav marked it or whether it just got to the boundary line.
Just chews up a little bit more time too now, Jace. The ball's gone out of bounds.
Just ate up 13 seconds, didn't it? From 1:05 down to 52. St Kilda needs something pretty special from here. Hale, Thompson, here's a chance. Peckett, Schwartz, they need to be clean. No mistakes from here on in. Ball, Peckett. Peckett's still alive. There's still a chance, the Saints. Straight up the middle. need a mark and a conversion. Boss is in front, couldn't hang on. Milne's still there, taken down in a tackle, wrapped up, they pile in. The Roos hang on. Clock still ticking.
That's a game-saving tackle. Troy Makepeace, I've been on his back a little bit with the distance he's given Stephen Milne, but that's a fantastic ball on all tackle.
Again, the Roos get numbers around the footy.
I think we've also seen too, Jason, this last quarter where Fraser Gehrig's fitness or lack of it is just told at crucial times. Just hasn't been quite the zip that he had obviously earlier in the game.
The Kangaroos were dead and buried when they trailed by 17 points, 18 and a half minutes into that last quarter. Someone forgot to send the message out to them. They booted the last 4 goals of the game to come from behind and register a stirring 7-point win. What a great spirit. The shin bonus spirit, we hear about it. It's become a bit of a cliche in football. Some Kangaroo fans don't like it because they think that it makes them sound like they play on spirit alone without any talent and ability. Far from that. What they do have is the talent, the ability. They play within their limitations. They're disciplined. They're committed. They execute their game plan and they never give in.
And again, you talk about supporters won't like what they're seeing, but I can tell you one bloke to be very, very happy, and that'll be Dean Laidley. That is now 3 wins, no losses. Every game that they've played this year has been a tight scrap, and they've just been able to really take their game to another level when it's mattered the most. And you've got to take your hat off to Dean Laidley and his boys, but they just keep hanging in there. They break the opposition, and then they are good enough to steady and then win the game. And really today I thought it was the bit part players for Rito, Pachoni again, and really you just take your hat off to the guys.
Shannon Grant may have gathered himself a new nickname, the Game Breaker. He's done it again. 3 last quarter goals. Here he is with Glenn Manton.
Saints, Kangaroos, rivalry round, great game.
Well, it was a great comeback by the boys, and once again, you know, people would have thought we were down, but we bounced back brilliantly.
The boys up in the commentary room are calling you the game breaker. Do you feel you're the game breaker, or is it really a team breaker?
It's a team breaker, just the way we keep grinding away and keep working at it. And it's just great credit to the boys today, how they kept going at it. We were down most of the day, and they just stuck to the task, and we got up in the end. 33
degrees, tough game. I'm not going to hold you any longer, mate. Go and get into that ice.
Mate.
Shannon Grant, the difference once again in the last quarter. There's Dean Laidley speaking to youngster Blake Brimmer in his third game of league football. Great experience for him. The Kangaroos led for just 28 minutes of this game. St Kilda led for 91 minutes. The Saints had the lead from midway through the second term until late in the third, and then St Kilda hit back to lead by 2 goals at the final change. It was nip and tuck. It was tied in the last quarter until the Saints appeared to break the game open. They led by 17 points at the 18.5-minute mark. They had the momentum. Somehow again the Kangaroos have just turned it around and grinded a fantastic win, and they are 3-0 in season 2005, and full credit to them.
It's a great start, and they obviously had a pretty good build up to the Wizard Cup as well with their form. They won a couple of games, but really once St Kilda got in front and had that biggest margin, the biggest lead of the day, they actually just seemed to stop. And Kangaroos won some really good ball out of the centre. They got it inside their forward 50. Shannon Grant bobbed up again, and we know he can break games open. We've seen that already this year. And look, just full credit to the way the guys, i.e. Kangaroos players, just keep having a crack. Sansbury, Ferrito, Brimmer in his first game this year. Guys like Pachoni, Harris, Hale comes off the bench and has a bit of an influence. In that last quarter, we saw another player who's probably been down a little bit this year, but Daniel Wells was terrific early. When they had to give themselves an opportunity to get into the game and get a lead, it was Daniel Wells who I thought gave them a spark, i.e. Shannon Grant style.
36,140 in on a day of 32-degree heat in Melbourne. They saw the Saints by 7 points at quarter time, 8 points at half time, 12 points at three-quarter time, out by as much as 17 halfway through the last term, before the Kangaroos came storming home with 4 goals to win it 15-10-100. St Kilda 14-9-93.